Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Paul for KarmicWhoopAss.com. KarmicWhoopAss.com is a global group intention website, a meeting place for like-minded individuals to meet and combine their love and above intentions with other truth and light-loving people. Check the homepage. On there, you'll find a list of intentions. Intentions focused on truth, on love, light, and the health of Mother Earth and every living thing in her care. Intentions for modifying the molecular makeup of pollution to help put and keep our planet in good shape for our children and for generations to come. Intentions to uncover natural cures and technologies our planet desperately needs. You'll also find a very special place in the intention script where you can send loving thoughts to the intention field for those you know who are in need. Once there, those intentions take on the power of everyone in the group. KarmicWhoopAss.com. That's K-A-R-M-I-C Whoopass.com. Let's open a can.
Okay, this is Denise, and today is September 4th, and you are with Global Voice 2012. Tonight we have a very, very special guest, Mr. Richard Gilbert. And Mr. Gilbert, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience. We didn't really have a biography for you, and I would like you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And
it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you so much. I started as an attorney 33 years ago. I immediately was interested in constitutional law, so I joined up with the American Civil Liberties Union because that was a constitutional law organization. I was a volunteer attorney taking constitutional cases, eventually became president of the ACLU for my area of Southern California. And I've been practicing constitutional law ever since. And along the way, I've had several precedent-setting cases that are published in the books of law. And some of those were very high-profile cases that I was happy to have. And when I saw what was happening to our delegates, I decided that we had to step in. When the campaign was not taking any legal action to protect the delegates, I and my Twitter followers began to draft ideas about bringing a legal case back around Thanksgiving of 2011. We put together a lawsuit in November and December of 2011. We were waiting for the campaign to do something, but we just never saw them do anything. And by the time of around May, I finally went on the Daily Paul and put up a post about what our plans were for our legal case and what our legal strategies were. I met some very fine people from Lawyers for Ron Paul. I hadn't heard of Lawyers for Ron Paul until after I went on the Daily Paul, but I met some fine people from that organization. We decided to combine our efforts, and the rest is history. So here we are.
Mr. Gilbert, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us, and I'm just going to give our audience a brief little rundown of what we're going to cover this evening and how to call in, et cetera, if you'll indulge me for just one moment. And that would be, we will likely, if we do have time for questions, it will be at the end of the program, and we will accept questions only from the chat room and through email. And our chat room can be found at globalvoice2012.us, or, excuse me for just a moment while I change screens, we can also go to, let me see, chat.globalvoiceradio.net. That would be the other chat room. And then we will be taking questions while on air on topic from drakeanswers@gmail.com and from onefreepeople@gmail.com. And a reminder to everyone, our call-in number, if you want to call in to listen, if you're having any difficulty with Blog Talk Player, is 646-716-4984. That's 646-716-4984. And this evening's primary topic is where do we go next after the RNC? And in addition to that, we have 6 general areas we're hoping to cover with Mr. Gilbert tonight. And that would be the current status and future potential impact of President-Delegate lawsuit now in the Federal Appeals Court filed against the RNC for corruption in primary election. The second would be recent Republican National Convention corruption and impact on current lawsuit and all Americans. Third will be Romney's eligibility and alleged felony campaign solicitations and acceptance of foreign campaign donations from Israel and Europe. The fourth subject will be Romney and potential felony connections to convicted felons and alleged ex-partner Alan Stanford, who was convicted in June to a 111-year prison sentence for running a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. And let's see, number 5 would be possibilities of Ron Paul being able to run independently in the 50 states and as an independent or possible Paul Johnson ticket. And number 6, and last, is Romney's eligibility to be president, including his father's heritage and where Romney might have been born, etc., similar for Obama. With that, we have Drake with us. Drake will be joining in the discussion. Drake, welcome to the program, of course. And let me make sure your mic is okay. It is open. Okay, and we also have 2 of our Global Voice staff, Dan Dieter and Mr. Greg Trombley. Your mics are live also, gentlemen. And we will, our panel will be helping me throughout the evening. So thank you very much, and Mr. Gilbert, we look very much forward to your presentation and welcome you to Global Voice.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Go right ahead, sir. Should we go ahead and start with our first area that we were wanting to discuss was of course, the status of the lawsuit that's now in the Federal Appeals Court that was filed against the RNC for the corruption in the primary election.
Okay, what we have filed in the Appeals Court, and this is a legal term, and I'll explain it, it's called an appellate writ. Now, a writ spelled W-R-I-T. It's just a legal term. Nobody needs to remember it. But it is different from an appeal. An appellate writ moves very quickly. The very interesting thing about our appellate writ is that well over 90%, about 96% of appellate are denied, usually within 72 hours. And we are surviving into our 3rd week in the appellate court. And from a historical perspective, that suggests, it doesn't guarantee, but it suggests that the appellate court is in fact writing a historical opinion that they need to stand up to the United States Supreme Court. That is the logical interpretation. It's the most logical interpretation of what events are taking place in the appellate court at this point. Now, only one court below the United States Supreme Court right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if sometime within the next few days we receive a historical opinion in our favor. There's no guarantee of this. You can call it wishful thinking, but it's so unusual for an appellate writ to be alive for this long without being granted that I'm feeling very hopeful, and I might as well feel hopeful as to the alternative. But statistically, we've now moved from a 96% chance of losing into probably a 96% chance of winning. So we're very happy to be exactly where we are. Again, you call it speculation and wishful thinking, but if you're a trial lawyer, if you've done appeals, if you're 3 weeks into an appellate writ, that's good news. And the longer they're taking on a historical case is the better for us, because it means they are most likely writing a breathtaking decision that's going to give us some very positive law that we can rely on. It might actually make Romney's nomination null and void. The Republican Party might find out any day now that they do not have a nominee, which would be devastating to the Romney campaign if that happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's one of the possibilities that could happen. And if it does happen, that could require a revote of the convention by the delegates who were denied their constitutional right to vote their conscience, which is what the law requires. And so, Mr. Romney, who likes to commit felony crime after felony crime, day after day, including the crime of kidnapping at the convention, when 2 states were kidnapped on different buses, and driven around that convention building several times and away from the convention with armed security on the bus, that's called kidnapping. That's a felony crime, and the purpose was to keep those delegates away from the Rules Committee vote that changed the rules to in effect, steal the Republican Party into a small group of criminals, the crime family, the Romney, Reince Priebus crime family, so that in the future they just make all the decisions without any vote whatsoever. For kidnapping, that's usually about a 20-year sentence, but that's for each person you kidnap. So if you have buses with 60 people each and you have 2 or 3 buses, then Mr. Romney and Mr. Priebus should be going to prison for the rest of their lives, just for that alone. That's a new felony crime. I haven't spoken about that on my videos or anything. That's a brand new felony crime. Mr. Romney, the kidnapper, okay, with an armed guard, keeping people away from voting on Rules Committee who they know were not going to vote in their favor. They resorted to the felony crime of kidnapping. That's who we're dealing with. That's who we're dealing with now in the Republican Party, a crime family headed by Mr. Romney, the crime boss. And we need to take him down. We need to remove him as the nominee because he is simply not suitable. We cannot let him have the keys to the Oval Office. If you're a good and decent Republican, a man who commits this many felony crimes right in front of your face just cannot be the President of the United States, and he certainly cannot be trusted with suspending the Constitution and putting people in concentration camps and internment camps that he supports, and he has publicly supported, putting U.S. citizens into an internment camp with no criminal charges, no courts, no lawyers. I mean, I could talk for a week about all the crimes this man commits, and I can tell you that we have to stop this man, and the appellate court may be getting ready to help us do that. And if they give us any opening at all, we're going to take his campaign apart. We're going to use that creative destruction, his own business platform. That's his business model, creative destruction, where he goes into KB Toys, a nationwide chain of excellent toy stores that everybody used to shop at around the country in malls, and he tears it apart. He loads it up with monumental debt that they can never pay back, takes them into bankruptcy, and then he steals all the money and puts it in his pocket and hides it in his foreign accounts. I mean, we've got to take this man down. We've got to end his campaign. We can't let him be the President of the United States under any circumstance. It's just not possible. This is the worst candidate the Republican Party has ever had, and we just got to take him down. So we've also seen that the organized crime convention that they held, they used violence. They absolutely did use violence. You know, we asked the trial judge to send U.S. Marshals. The trial judge wouldn't do it. And so what do we get? We get kidnapping of a couple of hundred people. We had the main delegation. Can you imagine people walking up to members of Congress and saying, pack up your office and get out. You're no longer a member of Congress because we don't like how you vote. Can you imagine that happening? Well, that's what happened at the Republican National Convention. They walked up to the main delegation and they just threw them out. Simple as that, for no reason. Of course, we all know about all the other delegates that got thrown off their delegations before the main before the convention ever began. Romney starts with his crimes, concealing votes in Iowa, stealing ballot boxes, breaking bones, threatening to break bones, threatening a delegate with a gun in Alaska, saying, you vote the way I tell you to, chasing people at night, harassing single mothers with children, claiming they're going to go to their home and harass them, as happened in Arkansas. We got the Georgia chairman, the Georgia party chairman, going up to people, threatening to make their lives miserable for the rest of their lives if they don't vote the way they want them to vote. We got to put these crime families in prison. That's what we need to do with them. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I could go on talking about the Romney crimes from now till next year. This man is such a criminal. He's a disgusting criminal, is what he is. And we just can't have that for a nominee. I think we're going to get a historic decision. I'm hoping for one. And if there's any opening with the language used in this decision that would allow us to go back in court and force a revote, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're ready to move. And I'm also preparing my arguments for the United States Supreme Court in case we got to go there. I'll be ready for that. So we're gonna try and get Dr. Paul nominated. This fight's not over. It's just beginning. It's just beginning. So here we go. And
that's wonderful news. That's wonderful news.
Richard, this is
go ahead, Greg. That's Greg.
Thanks, Denise. Thank you, Denise. Quick question for you, Richard, while we're still on item number 1 before we leave it. Could you, for the audiences, bringing them up to date, just kind of go over very briefly the nature of the lawsuit, how it originated, what caused it, the nature of it, where it's at currently, and was there any decisions rendered by the court before it went to the appellate court?
Okay. Well, the origin of the lawsuit is that goes back to Thanksgiving 2011, and I'm with my Twitter followers, and we're observing irregular conduct, highly suspicious conduct going on with the whole process of the Republican conventions and caucuses and the activity of the Romney campaign and the RNC, and we're observing violations of law taking place. Now, we're assuming that the lawyers who actually work for the campaign were going to go to court and take care of this. I mean, we were talking about it, and we were discussing the law on my Twitter account, but we never dreamed that the lawyers who work for the campaign were not going to go to court and do something about it. So as we watched it, and as we watched vote stealing in Iowa, I mean, right from the get-go, where every time you see election fraud take place in this campaign, who benefited? Who benefited? Only one person benefited: Romney. He's the only one who benefited. And when people were getting hurt, and when people were having their bones broken, Romney never spoke out, not once. He never spoke out against what was happening. He just sat there and benefited, always benefiting from these criminal acts. And it became clear, and we discovered that Romney had one of his paid staffers who directly worked for the Romney campaign, going around to multiple state conventions, handing out fraudulent delegate slate tickets with false names on them, making the delegates and the voters believe, as they were voting for delegates, that they were voting for people who were supposed to have, be the delegates, the actual people who had earned the right to run for the delegation. Instead, they had phony names on these tickets. And this was done by the Romney campaign, by a paid staffer. A paid staffer. Now, that's a felony crime. That's Mr. Romney's staff, his paid staff, committing felony crimes because you're dealing with electing delegates to a what's called a federal election under United States law, and that federal election is the Republican National Convention in Tampa. And the federal law says you got to follow U.S. law to run that kind of a convention if you're going to nominate a president of the United States. So for Romney to rig voting ballots with his paid staff on purpose to confuse the voters, this man belongs in prison. That's just another series of felony crimes that Romney has committed. So we're watching this, but we don't see the Dr. Paul's lawyers go to court. So we finally decided to draft a lawsuit. I did the research on the case. I got.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. It's a big old land with countless dreams, and happiness ain't out of reach. Hard work pays off the way it should. Yeah, I've seen enough to know that we've got it good, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. Stands in a harbor for what we believe, and there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free. I pledge allegiance to this flag, and if that bothers you, well, that's too bad. But if you got pride and you're proud you do, hey, we could use some more like me and you, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. Bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free. No, it ain't the only place on earth, but it's the only place that I prefer to love my wife and raise my kids.
Yeah.
Hey, the same way that my daddy did, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. Where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
Unmuted.
Hi, this is Paul from the Global Voice Radio Network. We are still reassembling people, trying to get the show running again. And if you give us just a moment, I had the feed drop, and I got to figure out which feed it was. Okay, Denise, are you there?
I'm back.
Oh yeah, they're messing with us big time, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and I'm just about ready to go to pieces. Man, the biggest thing we got going on, and they do this. They pull this crap
Well, of course. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Denise. They pulled this crap on us because it is the biggest story to break prior to the election than they could possibly imagine. We pissed them off. Plain and simple. We pissed them off, and they said, oh, no, pull the plug on that show right now.
Yeah.
Okay? And they'll probably pull the plug on this one, too. Now, do we have Mr. Gilbert? Does he have the phone number to call in?
Greg's trying to get it to him. Has Drake called you?
No, I know Mr. Dieter is on, and I'm going to unmute him too. We're in lecture mode right now, so anybody that calls in...
Hey, Denise, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to send a number to Drake.
Okay. Anybody that connects using the 153938 participant code will be muted because the conference is in lecture mode at the moment. So, we will get Mr. Gilbert back on the line, and the show will continue on radio.globalvoiceradio.net. Just click on the Listen Live button, and we'll hit the ground running. I kind of thought they were going to do this because you cannot pick on the RNC's fair-haired golden boy. You cannot pick on the RNC's convention. You just can't. Okay? And this is the world that we live in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the world we live in. If you say something they don't like, they will pull your plug. So, I see we have Drake back on. Drake, how you doing?
I'm trying to hang in there, but we got monsoon rains going on and a few other things. This is not the first time they've taken down Blog Talk Radio on certain discussions.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, this is big news, and, what can we say?
Who's typing?
Must be Drake.
No, it ain't.
No, it ain't. Okay, well, whoever is typing, mute yourself. All right.
All right, we're going to try to get Mr. Gilbert back in and do this as a conference call, and somebody else is calling me. One moment.
Okay.
Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, should I give Richard this telephone number to call in?
Yes.
Okay, well, that didn't work.
He's standing by right now, so we can either call him or I can give it to him. Give him the number.
Are you in the,
I'm in the 805-399.
Yeah, check the Skype box, and I'll give you the host code for him to call in. That way, his line won't be muted, and he'll be live right away. Just check your. There you go. Yeah, check the Skype message window for the group for the program for the show group, and you'll see that.
That's the one here, 805
399-1200.
Okay, and then the code. Okay, I'm going to give it to him right now.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
We're just bear with us for a minute, folks. We did have an idea that we were going to upset somebody, and apparently we upset quite a few somebodies because they actually canceled the show. Normally they just play games like dropping callers or making it difficult for people to dial in. Those are their normal fun and games, their normal shenanigans. This time, we pissed them off enough that they actually canceled the show. They shut down the call board, they disconnected all the callers, and Global Voice 2012 Radio went offline. Okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just seeing as how this is a legal sort of a show, I got something to say about that. If I'm not mistaken, we're paying for access to broadcast, And if I'm not mistaken, this is a breach of contract.
I would think so.
Yeah, I wonder how they'd like to have a federal lawsuit, complaints with the FCC and a few other people in terms of their actions.
Yep, because as soon as it shuts me off, I can't even dial back in, Drake. It says, the day was blocked out, and it won't let me call back into the board. It says your next scheduled show will begin in 23 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got Mr. Gilbert on the board. Hey, Mr. Gilbert, welcome back to the program.
I'm here.
Oh, the fun and games, the games people play, huh? That should have been our theme song.
I got a question.
Are we on the air, or are we broadcasting?
We're on a conference call, and we're continuing to record, Mr. Gilbert.
And we're also streaming live on radio.globalvoiceradio.net.
I got a question, Mr. Gilbert. Seeing as how we're paying for this service and they decided to cancel us out, I believe that's a breach of contract, if I remember correctly. Is it not?
Well, it sure would be. It sure.
This service is provided in high definition by free conference call.
Okay.
There we go. And Paul Wiener, what is the address? I'm putting it on the Facebook page and out to listen live.
Okay, it is radio.globalvoiceradio.net.
Okay.
And the conference line, if they want to listen to the conference line, that number is 805-399-1200. And the participant code for listeners is 153938. Just go ahead and post.
Wait a minute. Code 153938. Pound. Or number, whatever.
Right. Yeah, pound. That will get them into the program. And I believe we already have all the hosts on, unless Greg isn't connected.
I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Paul, for Richard's benefit, could you real quick just let him know what happened so he's in the queue as well?
Okay. Well, basically what happened was we had scheduled a show on Blog Talk Radio. And we called into the board. Everything was fine. We started the program, and as soon as things started being said that people didn't want to hear, they pulled the plug on the entire program. Now, normally when we're doing programs, they play games with dropping callers. They play games with making it difficult to call in and participate. It's kind of a soft kill kind of a thing. But today, what they did was they actually canceled the show. They killed the show by ending the program, which dropped all of the callers and has locked out Global Voice 2012 from using that service until their next scheduled broadcast day, because you're only allowed to allocate one block of time per day. You use it, and then you disconnect, and your next block comes the next day. Well, because they canceled the show, they basically stole that block of time for today. And that's where we are at this point. So right now we are connected to my conference line, which was simulcasting the program, and we're also connected to my radio station, globalvoiceradio.net, which is broadcasting the stream. So, hey, we're still running, just on a different service.
And we're getting a little bit of echo or playback of you, Paul, but from the background, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm monitoring. I'm actually monitoring the live stream with another computer with speakers on the other side of the room. And I tried to turn it down as low as possible, but some of that is getting picked up by my mic.
Yeah, you have a very sensitive mic, I understand. Okay, Mr. Gilbert, we sincerely apologize. I guess all right. This isn't the first inconvenience.
That's okay. What do you want to do?
We do intend to get the information out to the people. Drake, did you have any other statements you wanted to make? I was going to say maybe we could have just a little bit of banter for maybe 5 minutes while we get this information out to the people on the Facebook pages, and they can spread it to their friends and stuff, so that they can get connected and be able to catch up and listen in. Just like kill 5 minutes, or maybe we can everybody go get a soft drink and we'll have Paul play a song, or.
Well, I'm just thinking about this. I'm advertising the fact that they canceled our show.
That's a good idea.
If they want to play this game, then they're going to have to play with somebody else. Now, if somebody jumped in, which is a possibility, and forced them to do so, all they got to do is say that. I would like to know who the friggin' agency is who did this. I will be putting the word out through my contacts in the security administration to tell them never to do that again and see what happens.
Yep.
I personally don't take this sort of thing lightly. They think it's funny to play with every right that we have, and I take issue with that.
I do too.
And I know they don't like it. They've told me that. I have had the anonymous phone call, the funny emails that disappear if you're not reading them right away, and stuff like that. So this is going to get fun. If they, So I'm doing that right now, and I'm going to get out of the way. You want to play songs or whatever, that's fine.
Well, before you do that, this is Richard. Do you want to just reschedule, like for tomorrow or something like that?
No, because we've got every reason to believe that they'll do the same. They'll pull the same crap, and they'll pull the plug again tomorrow.
Okay,
I'm doing this now. Denise, what do you think?
We can get the word out. I've got 2 minutes, 30-second song.
Denise, you there?
Let me see if she's still on the board.
Excuse me, Drake.
Yeah.
Are you a member of Nasara News?
A member of Nasara News?
Well, I don't know if you have to be a member of their blog. If somebody was just called me and asked me if somebody can post on Nasara News how to connect to the show, because I guess there's thousands of people from Nasara that are, not knowing how to reconnect to the program.
John McAfee probably can. I have to look.
Yeah, does anybody have John McAfee's email address?
It's not an email. I'll be calling him. Hold on a minute. Let me get my glasses on so I can see what I can do about that.
Well, what we can do is we can play a song for 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
Give us a chance to get some things set up and get some more people connected.
Everybody can spread the phone number and the connection places.
Right. And then we need to continue with the program, because whether or not they can listen live to the program is really immaterial, because the entire program is going to be archived on globalvoiceradio.net, and the connection or the web address to get the archive will be available. We have a
yes, and we will archive it on Blog Talk also. They may have cut us off, but I will re-upload it back to my program.
Right.
Okay. And it's what's the link?
Radio.globalvoiceradio.net.
Radio.global
voice.
Wait a minute, my pen's screwing up. Is that one word, Global Voice?
Yeah, Global Voice Radio, all one word.
Radio.globalvoiceradio.net.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Radio.globalvoiceradio.net. Now,
and the phone number, Drake, is for guests is go ahead, Paul.
805-399-1200. And the participant code is 153-299. 938.
938. Is that a pound sign after that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, okay, now because we only have a limited amount of time, we only have our guest on for a 2-hour slot. We're not going to let him force us to waste all of his valuable time getting this straightened out. Anybody that is able to connect to the program can listen live. Anybody that does not get the message can listen to the archive, and we'll make sure that the archive is available. So, in 2.5 minutes, callers or no, we will be continuing the program. This is the Global Voice Radio Network in voluntary cooperation with Global Voice 2012 Radio.
Thank you, Paul.
Freedom, keep walking, keep on your toes and don't stop talking about freedom. To get going, lots to be learning, lots to be knowing about people. You gotta reach 'em, see it right down, then you gotta teach 'em about freedom. You gotta win it, gotta put yourself smack dab in it. Hey, tomorrow, hey, don't go away. 'Cause the freedom just might come away. Don't lose it, gotta understand, you just can't abuse it. Freedom, get moving, never gonna stop till everybody grooving on love for one another. Call it some friend and call it some brother. You're not so far away. But the freedom will know you well someday.
And we're back on Global Voice Radio Network. And at this point, I am going to turn things back over to Denise from Global Voice 2012 Radio. And she can take the reins, have the show. Denise, are you still there?
I'm still here, and I would like to turn around and turn it back over to our very patient and understanding guest, Mr. Richard Gilbert. And I apologize to all of our listeners. This is obviously something that was way above our control. This was obviously not unlike the Republican National Convention, an attack on our freedom. And I apologize to everyone. We will get this information out, and it will be available, and we will proceed with pride. So, Mr. Gilbert, again, thank you so very much, Richard.
Oh, you're welcome. Which Romney felony crime did we leave off at? Was it the kidnapping at the convention? Was it the physical beating of a state senator? Was it the theft of ballot boxes? Was it his $8.5 billion Ponzi scheme that he started with his millions of dollars of seed money, where all the $8.5 billion is missing, and Romney won't turn the profits over to the crime victims? Was it the breaking of bones? I can't. Which Romney felony crime did we leave off?
Actually, you were speaking of the ballot, the delegate vote, that the Romney employee giving out the false names of delegates vote kind of thing.
That's what we need in the president. That's what we need in the president. Somebody who goes around making up false ballots and cheating the voters and tricking the voters into voting for people who are not even candidates. That's exactly what we need in a president, a felony criminal like Romney. That's what we need, to have all of the powers to commit more felonies daily with his crime family, including taking U.S. citizens and putting them in secret internment camps, more than 800 of them operational around the United States right now. Sure, that's what we need. And what does he say? He says, just trust me. Just trust me. Yeah, we're going to trust this crime boss. We're going to trust this criminal Romney who just can't even get through a day without committing a felony crime. I think he needs to be in prison. We shouldn't even let him escape to France. We should make sure he gets in prison.
Richard, this is Greg. Real quick, just to bring us back also, we were still on main topic number 1 at the time. And you just, when we got cut off, and you just finished talking about Iowa, what went on there, and you'd gotten together with the attorneys to file the lawsuit regarding the delegates and what was going on in the primary elections. And then what you were just starting to get into was the current, what had happened, with the initial lawsuit with the courts and how it had gotten to the appellate level. And then obviously from there, what the implications of all that are.
Okay, well,
that's where we were at.
Okay, well, going back to the inception of the lawsuit, I in consultation with my Twitter followers, were watching all this. We saw the 20 votes that were not counted in Iowa, and a patriot named Edward True was able to find those 20 votes, and then we all heard the news that Romney didn't win Iowa. And ultimately, it was Dr. Paul who won Iowa. So, Romney just steals elections, steals ballots, does all these criminal acts from state to state, traveling like locusts of a crime family. And so we decided to file the lawsuit. I was the only attorney on the case. I still am the only attorney on the case. We went to federal district court. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
I'm hearing somebody's background, though. Paul,
we're hearing a lot of background. We're hearing a lot of background. If you connect to the conference room and you are unmuted, press *6 to mute yourself, or I will be... There we go. Excellent. All right, thank you. I do believe that I'm going to have to change the host code to this conference line because I think somebody posted the host code for listeners.
Oh, great.
They will come in unmuted, so I'm going to be muting people through the program. So don't worry about it. Go ahead. Continue. Carry on.
Thank you.
Okay, so... I decided to draft the lawsuit. I waited as long as I possibly could for Dr. Paul's attorneys to file, but they didn't, so we filed it in federal district court in the Ninth Circuit. Our case went before the judge, and we were doing very well. And at one point, the judge made it on the record in open court after oral argument at 7 o'clock at night. 7 p.m., the judge says, that he thinks that I was correct on this new law, and that he thinks that it should apply to the Republican National Convention. What happened after that, is unclear. The judge seemed to whatever he did, he wasn't willing to move the case along. So we had motions to expedite filed, and they weren't being ruled upon. So I went and filed this appellate writ that I talked about before. And at the time the judge decided not to proceed with the case, our appellate writ was already filed. The appellate court had already assumed jurisdiction. So what people, didn't understand, of course, and it's understandable because many people out there are not attorneys, so they hear this phrase that the case got dismissed. Well, no, the case never got dismissed. The case was in the appellate court already, with the appellate court assuming jurisdiction, when the trial judge said that the case is dismissed. But that didn't mean anything because the case was not dismissed. The case was alive in the appellate court, and the appellate court decided to assume jurisdiction over the case. So we actually wound up moving along even faster because we got into the appellate court much faster than we had expected we would get in. So we thought that it was a good strategy to file that appellate writ. And the appellate court is, we think, any day going to issue this opinion, and we're very hopeful that it'll be in our favor. It's certainly looking like it should be in our favor based upon...
You got your purple ball.
Excuse me. A purple ball. Guest, can you mute, please?
Okay, so...
I got it handled.
All right, so this case was never dismissed, even though people thought it was dismissed or they read a document that they thought it was dismissed. What they never understood is that we had already gone to the appellate court at least a week earlier than that, and the appellate court had taken jurisdiction of the case. So that was just, that's just not, non-lawyers not understanding legal language. And that's all that was. And our case is doing, is doing well in the appellate court because they didn't dismiss it. The RNC became very. Look what we did to Mr. Romney. Let's step back a second here and look what we did to him. Here we are filing this lawsuit. What does Romney do at the convention? He has to move up. He has to move up by several days his nomination vote. That's what we did to him. He was so afraid of this lawsuit and what the appellate court would do, he winds up moving up the nomination vote. Okay? Now, when have you ever seen a presidential candidate be pushed around like that? You never have seen that before. Then, you may recall, I've made videos, I've made it very clear there's going to be no party unity and that there would be no unanimous nomination. So what did Romney do at the convention? He knew there would be no unanimous nomination, so they never called for unanimous nomination. That was never reported in the news. Romney is the first major candidate of a party not to be unanimously nominated, probably in all our lifetimes, maybe in history. Okay, the parties usually unify around the candidate. We said no party unity. Romney is out there with no unanimous nomination. None. This party is not united, and we will not vote for Romney, and he couldn't even ask for a unanimous nomination. Look what happened with Boehner when he was standing up there with a script on a vote. He got caught on camera, right? We all saw it. And they were voting on a rules change. And Boehner's reading a teleprompter that says on the teleprompter, in my opinion, the ayes have it. And Boehner stands there and reads it like a loyal crime family member. And we all heard the noise in that convention. The ayes did not have it, but Boehner just reads it. And that will be Boehner's legacy for the rest of his life. Every night when he goes to sleep, Boehner will be thinking about that teleprompter and how he had to say, in my opinion, the ayes have it, like a member of a crime family, when he knows damn well that the ayes did not have it. And now he'll have to live with that for the rest of his life, and he'll have to dream that and think about that every day. And every time he comes out in public, everyone will know that he's just another one of the crime family members. That's all he is. But what was that sound? What was that sound that we heard in the convention hall when the ayes did not have it? That was the sound of the liberty movement. That was the sound of freedom. That was the sound of the Constitution running through that convention. Even while busloads of delegates who would have also voted no were being kidnapped. Even as they were being kidnapped, they still couldn't carry that vote. So that was the sound of liberty taking over the Republican Party. And that noise, that sound, they will have to listen to for the rest of their lives. because we are going to take over the Republican Party, and we're going to take the trash out. We're going to take out all of the trash, get them out of office, get them out of the Republican Party, so we can move on with freedom, liberty, and our rights restored, and shut down these concentration camps. We're going to shut down these internment camps and re-education centers. We're going to shut down all of these fusion centers that spy on us. There's more than 72 of them all around the nation in major cities, an office building of people spying on you with no warrants, no probable cause. They're just spying on you. There's drones flying over your head. Miniature drones are flying over your head, spying on you with no court order, no probable cause, and now they're even starting to arm those drones like they're going to launch missiles at U.S. citizens right here in the United States. And they're sizing up people's residences and things of that nature. They're making lists of people. They have something called the Red List. Let me tell you what the Red List is for these internment camps. The Red List consists of people they intend to kill. They're going to kill in these internment camps. And they include outspoken ministers. Outspoken ministers will be killed. Outspoken talk show hosts, radio show hosts will be killed on these red lists in the internment camps. Political leaders, like leaders of the Tea Party, will be killed in these internment camps. That's what we're talking about when Romney says he supports these internment camps and the laws that support them. He's talking about killing people, not just throwing them in there indefinitely, but also killing them. Right now, the United States is involved in a federal case where a federal judge asked the United States, is there anyone in these internment camps right now? Now, the U.S. admits they exist. That's no longer even a dispute. And they say in federal court, we're not going to tell you whether anyone's in there or not. Now they're not even going to tell us if they have prisoners in these internment camps. And then the United States went to the appellate court trying to seek a court order that they don't even have to reveal if they're holding people in these internment camps. Okay? Well, we know they're holding people in the internment camps. They even have children and families in these internment camps right now. And they're hiring people right now. They're hiring people. You go to your military recruiter, you tell them you want to be an internment camp specialist, and the only thing that you have to be willing to do is kill U.S. citizens. That's what you have to be willing to do to get this job. Okay? So go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No, I think somebody was just clearing their throat.
All right. So this is the job we have ahead of us, to take back our country, to get back our freedoms and our liberties. We are living in a police state right now. We're in a police state right now. Now, most people drive around, they live their lives, they don't even realize we're in a police state right now. They don't realize it, but we are living in a police state right now, and it's going to get much worse very fast. Very fast, it's going to get much worse. It's not going to be long before we start to look like Nazi Germany. It won't be long. That's for sure. Unless we get Ron Paul elected president of the United States, he's the only one. Ron Paul is the only one that is going to stop these internment camps and stop this police state and restore our civil liberties and our freedoms. Ron Paul is the only one who will do it. There's a reason that we support Ron Paul. But people ask, why do you Ron Paul supporters? Why do you never quit? Why do you never quit? Why do you keep supporting him against all odds, no matter what? Why do we pursue this lawsuit to force Romney to be removed as the candidate and have a revote? Why do we do it? Why do we do these crazy things that are so against all odds, impossible cases that people call this? Why do we do it? We do it because we know that we have no choice. We have to save our nation. We have to save our freedom. We have to save our liberty. That's what we're doing it for. We are fighting the revolution, which Dr. Paul talks about. But this is going to be a peaceful revolution that we want to take down all the police state apparatus and restore our civil liberties and our freedoms. That's what this is about. And we won't quit. We'll never quit. There's no option. We have no option. We can't quit. So that's why we have to remove Mr. Romney as the nominee. and we have to deal with our freedoms. That's what's going on in this case. And so that's how we got into the appellate court, and our case was never dismissed. Not even for 1 second was our case dismissed. Not even 1 second was our case dismissed. So we're very pleased about that, and that's the status of our case.
Perfect. Richard, this is Greg again, and first of all, let me just say on behalf of our listeners, as well as many millions of Americans around the country, we want to say thank you to you for the case that you brought forward on behalf of liberty and on behalf of democracy. And what you have done, and which is unheard of, in bringing the election process, or at least the primary election process, expedited, that Romney, the actions that he took. One of the main benefits from that convention, I think, for many millions of Americans, was a wake-up call to see firsthand, the corruption and tyranny that was going on, and you have to bring some of that about. My question for you next is one, many Americans have awoken now to what's going on. Now, the things that they saw on the television with the Republican convention, are those crimes that can be incorporated into the current lawsuit, or are those crimes potentially things that can be started with a new lawsuit?
We're going to have more lawsuits, that's for sure. I mean, we're going to, you can't have a revolution with one lawsuit. You have to, we're going to have more lawsuits. And one of the things we're planning in the event that we're not able to get the nomination of the Republican Party for Dr. Paul is we're going to have a lawsuit to force all 50 states to allow a write-in name in the 50 states, so people can write in the name of Dr. Paul and vote for him as president, even though the states won't put him on the ballot. So we're gonna bring a case to do that, and we're not asking Dr. Paul, we're drafting Dr. Paul by having a nationwide write-in vote for Dr. Paul. So we'll hope to see people lining up at the voting booths in November holding pens in their hands. They'll be holding pens in their hands, and the states will be required to have a paper ballot with a blank space for president where you can neatly write in Ron Paul. And that's how we're going to get Dr. Paul elected president so we can save our nation. And between now and November, people will learn more about the police state that we're living in, and that Dr. Paul is the only one who can save us and save the Constitution. Dr. Paul is the only one who can save the Constitution. He's the only one interested in saving the Constitution. And he's for 12 terms in Congress, and for all these years and decades, Dr. Paul has consistently said, I will vote the Constitution, and he will vote what he has promised. And he has always kept his promise. He's unlike anybody else, any other politician. That's why he can go on a college campus, and the college students will climb into trees. They'll climb into trees so they can see Dr. Paul, and they'll come and there'll be 5,000 or 10,000 people there listening to Dr. Paul speak. And he's a Republican. And on college campuses, there's 5,000 or 10,000 students at a time climbing into trees to hear him talk. That's the kind of popularity he has. While Romney he has to bus in 300 people, pack them close together, and take pictures to make it look like there's a crowd when there's no crowd there at all. I mean, if you notice, Romney hasn't had public events for a couple of months. Romney is he's a sociopath. His campaign was they can't even put him out there in a crowd without him saying something stupid. I mean, he'll say something stupid every time he's out there. So they can't keep him. So they have to sit him down with 10 or 12 people, and basically Romney sits there and listens to them talk at a table. And then when Romney opens his mouth, he says something stupid like, I don't like your chocolate chip cookies. They look like they came from 7-Eleven. I mean, this is what he says to his own supporters. The man is a sociopath. He's a clear sociopath. He's not just a crime boss and a serial criminal. He's a sociopath. And he's got some serious personality disorders. And you don't see him. Every time you put him out front, look at that stupid speech he gave at the convention. What did he say in that speech? He's going to launch a jobs tour. What kind of an acceptance speech is that? I'm going to launch a jobs tour. What else did he say? He said he's going to bring us back into the Cold War with Russia. He specifically named Putin. Yeah, Romney can't even deal with me without being afraid day to day. So now he's going to deal with Putin, right? He says he's going to put our missiles. What is Romney going to do? He said in his speech he's going to put our missiles in Eastern Europe. What do you think Putin's going to do? Putin's going to put missiles in Venezuela and Cuba. We're going to have the whole Cuban Missile Crisis all over again with Romney. Romney is going to put us into the Cuban Missile Crisis, and instead of Kennedy resolving it, we're going to have the idiot Romney in there getting us all killed. That's what's going to happen. And Russia, they have already said that if those missiles go in Eastern Europe, they will not hesitate to use their nuclear weapons if they feel threatened. They will use nuclear weapons if they feel threatened. And they've said those missiles in Eastern Europe will make them feel threatened. So what kind of who advises Romney? What kind of morons are advising Romney to put us back into a Cuban missile crisis? And for what reason? For what reason are we putting missiles in Eastern Europe? To counter Iranian missiles? Iranian missiles? Iranian missiles can't reach us. So that's how crazy Romney is. So what else does he want to do? He wants to go to Israel and raise money from foreigners, which is a felony crime. Of course, Romney, another day, another felony crime. So he's raising millions of dollars from foreigners in Israel and in Europe. And what is he telling the people in Israel so he can raise these millions of dollars? He's telling them he's going to go to war with Iran. That's what he's telling them. We're going to go to war with Iran. That's the plan Romney has. That's what he said in his speech. So if you go back and look at the transcript of what this guy said, he said he's going to put us back into a Cuban Missile Crisis with Russia. He's going to go to war with Iran, and he's going to go on a jobs tour. That's his acceptance speech. Okay? What kind of an acceptance speech is that? Does anybody walk around? Do you hear people talking about Romney's acceptance speech? The convention only ended a few days ago. Is anybody talking about Romney's acceptance speech? No, because his acceptance speech was garbage. It was pure garbage. If he gave that in a speech class, he'd get an F. He'd get an F in any college speech class because it was empty. His speech was completely empty of any facts, of any vision. His only vision is to put us into a nuclear crisis with Russia. A nuclear missile crisis. That's his vision. And to go to war with Iran. And then what's he going to do? Send Donald Trump to negotiate with China? This guy's like it would be a funny cartoon if it wasn't going to get us all killed. This guy cannot be president of the United States. No way can this guy be president of the United States. And we're going to stop him. We're going to stop this criminal sick bastard from becoming president of the United States. That's for damn sure. He thinks he's going to go around and break our bones. He's going to find out the hard way what's going to happen when he pushes around and when he kidnaps delegates and pushes delegates around. He's going to find out you don't push around a Ron Paul delegate. You will never become president of the United States when you do that. And so he kidnapped our people. He attacked our people. We didn't have U.S. Marshals there. We should have had U.S. Marshals there. We knew we needed U.S. Marshals, and we told the judge we needed U.S. Marshals, but he just didn't take it seriously. So now we have the record of what happened at this organized crime convention. That's where we are today. And so look at Romney. He can't even handle me. And what am I? I'm just one guy. I'm just some lawyer out in California. And Romney has to move up his vote. He has to run around and play all these stupid games. And he can't even handle me. How's he going to handle Putin? Look, come on. He can't be president. He can't. The guy should be working up in a sandwich shop in Wisconsin where he committed his felony election bribes. And that's the jobs that this guy should have. I can't believe how many crimes this guy commits. I'll be talking in the future about his tax crimes. And how he takes all his management fees, which is some of the biggest parts of his income, and he doesn't declare them on his taxes. You ever wonder why the man doesn't put out his tax forms? It's because he doesn't declare his income. That's why. What is that called? That's called a felony crime. He has tax evasion worse than Al Capone. worse than Al Capone. He puts out his tax forms. You're going to see that this man takes all of his management fees, doesn't declare them. He hides them behind corporations that are called blocker corporations. What a blocker? The word block, to block the income from being taxed. And then he puts his money in Panama accounts and Caribbean accounts and European accounts. I mean, this man, who has over 200 foreign accounts? Only a crime boss has over 200 foreign accounts. Okay, that's what goes on in Romney land. All right. So thank you for letting me say that. What else would you like to know?
This is Greg again, Richard. Could you elaborate briefly on? We all saw what happened at the RNC convention, and part of their argument, I'm sure, is that they're a private corp. The RNC is a private company. However, when the RNC is running an election campaign, they are acting in the public trust, and there's certain legal laws that come into play for any private company when they're acting in that type of a venue. Would you care to comment on any of that? Because it does relate to your lawsuit.
Yeah, these criminals at the RNC are very confused. They came into court. This is in the record in court. They come into court and they say, we don't follow U.S. law. We make our own rules. We change our own rules, and we even break our own rules. They said that right to the judge. They said that. I was standing there when they said it. Of course, we forced them to say it. That was our strategy by using one of our complaints, was to force them to take a position on this. And so we make our own rules, we change our own rules, and we break our own rules. Well, the only problem with that is their own rules don't mean a damn thing. Because when you're a political party, you can be a private political party, but if you're meeting at a convention to nominate a president, you are subject to 42 U.S. Code Section 1971. 42 U.S. Code Section 1971 and 11 Code of Federal Regulations, Section 100. And what those two laws say is your convention is a federal election. It's a federal election, and all of the laws of the United States are implemented to run your federal election if you're nominating a president. So you're no longer a private political party. You are not a private political party. You are a governmental entity. You're running a federal election, and you are subject to the laws of the United States. And that is what we think the appellate court is getting ready to say. They're getting ready to agree with our legal argument that the Republican Party, Democrat Party, all political parties are federal elections if they're nominating a president, and they must comply with U.S. law and not private party rules. And that's going to be just one of the victories that we think we're going to have. And we think the court's going to say that the delegates and all voters, every voter in the United States, not just members of minority groups, but every voter has the right to vote their conscience in any federal election. And that means the delegates have the right to vote their conscience. And so that's what our case is about. And we're going to take this 1964 Voting Rights Act, which applied to minorities, and we're going to give that right to every single U.S. citizen. Every single U.S. citizen. That's what we think we're going to do. And we're going to move forward from there. And so that's what's happening. Is there another question?
Yes. This is Greg again, Richard. Could you
go ahead, Greg?
Oh, sorry, I was going to sit back, but with respect to Governor Romney and the solicitation and acceptance of foreign monies, both from Israel and Western Europe, do you have any comments on that? Any facts that you can bring forth for our listeners with respect to that?
Yeah, in addition to the, hundreds of other felony crimes this guy commits, he then goes out and doesn't care about the United States law that says you cannot accept 1 penny from a foreigner in a political campaign. He goes out and he raises millions of dollars from foreigners. Now he's got a problem because he has to commit perjury with the Federal Election Commission and try to hide this money. But he has useful skills in committing perjury because you might remember his felony crime when he filed his SEC statement regarding Bain, his company Bain Capital, where he files back in from the years 1999 to 2001. he files an SEC statement that says he's the CEO of Bain. And that's, now he's trying to say he wasn't. And that's, of course, the years when Bain was exporting all the jobs to overseas, to other nations. Romney never created a job in the United States. That man is such a liar. He took a company that we all know the name Staples. Well, Romney owned Staples when it was like one single warehouse with 20 employees, okay? And then he sold it, and this new company that bought Staples, they're the ones that turned it into this nationwide successful business where they hired all these over 100,000 employees. So what does Romney do? Well, if he's not committing a felony crime, he's at least lying. So he says he created the 100,000 jobs, but he had sold the company when they had just a handful of employees and like one warehouse. I mean, the guy is actually sick. He's sick. He's a compulsive liar. He can't get through a sentence without lying. He can't get through a day without committing felony crimes. The man is that sick. We're going to have to make sure that it's just too dangerous to put someone like that in the Oval Office. That's just too dangerous. We can't let that happen. We know what a criminal he is because we've been dealing with him for the past year while he commits crime after crime after crime. Sometimes right out in public, right on television, he commits felony crimes. I mean, this guy's a nutcase. And who was standing next to him when he committed his felony crime in Wisconsin of election bribery? Who was standing next to him? Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan was a witness to his felony crime. I spoke personally with the district attorney in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I spoke personally to that district attorney. And this crime is being committed on television. The district attorney says he ran a 6-week investigation. He says to me, I can't find any witnesses. I can't find any witnesses to this crime after 6 weeks. I tell them they all went down to the voting booth. They signed their names next to their residence addresses. You have all their names in the poll books. You got all their names. You got the names and addresses of the witnesses. So what does the guy do? He changes his story. He changes his story from I can't find any witnesses, and then he says he has the audacity to say, and this was on television. He says, "Well, it wasn't for a Romney campaign event. It was a private staff meeting at Cousin Subs. So now it's a private staff meeting at Cousin Subs." Well, of course, they sent out press releases to all the local media about the campaign event. A few hundred people showed up, and he commits the election bribery crime in Wisconsin with Paul Ryan standing right next to him. And now we got the DA on a Friday night, late Friday night, a 3-day holiday weekend. He issues a witness statement, refuses to give a press conference, and he says it was a staff meeting. So what was Paul Ryan doing at the staff meeting? Paul Ryan, I guess, was the waiter. He was the waiter serving food to Romney's staff. I mean, this DA, a deal was made. It was telegraphed to this DA that he'll get a position as a U.S. attorney or something like that if he doesn't press charges. So on Monday morning, the DA goes and he's prosecuting criminal cases against all the regular people, who for small petty things. While he lets this monster criminal walk out of his county because he's a corrupt DA. He's just a corrupt DA. It's as simple as that. And that's the story, just one of the stories of Romney's endless felony crimes. It's just an outrageous situation with this man Romney. I mean, I could go on talking about all of his crimes, but we'd be here for a month. It's just ridiculous with this man. So what would you like to talk about now?
Go ahead, Denise.
What number were we on?
We were finishing up number 2, but one of the questions from the chat room, Richard, was with respect to the case. Are we basically still awaiting for an appellate decision, or is there another hearing scheduled?
Okay, this is going to be a fairly short answer. We are waiting for the appellate decision. I don't think it's going to take much longer. That's just my opinion. And so there is not going to be a hearing because the way it works on an appellate writ is we file everything in writing all the legal briefs, legal arguments, or the legal record is all filed in writing, and then the appellate court rules in writing. And one very unusual thing that the appellate court did about a week ago was they issued an announcement that says, they will be issuing an order in this case, and they to the legal eye, to the trained legal eye, the use of the word order was very encouraging to us, because we're asking for an order, and courts would normally use the word ruling. They would issue a ruling. To say we're going to issue an order is to very seriously imply that we are going to win this case. To say we're going to issue an order. Now, it's possible they could issue an order and say, the petition is denied, but to do that after all the time it's been there is so unlikely that it's not even plausible at this late date. I mean, they could do that. 96% get denied within 72 hours, and here we are 3 weeks later. So to say they're going to issue an order and use this time sounds very much like they're writing an opinion in our favor. And it's going to be a breathtaking historical opinion. That's the way it's looking. It's looking very positive. And remember, even the trial judge said that he agreed with our legal argument. Okay, that's in the record, and those appellate justices read that. They read that too. So things are looking positive for us, and we may in the next few days, the listeners to this program right now are hearing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we may get a ruling that will shock the entire world. We may shock the entire world within just a few days.
I have a quick follow-up to that, if I could.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Go ahead.
I have a quick follow-up. The person that asked that question asked, what is your best guess as far as a time frame for having an answer for this?
Well, it's always very hard to read the courts, especially the appellate courts, and I can only give you an educated guess. Is the best I can do, but I think we're going to hear from them within a week. That's what I think. And remember, they have, if they're there writing an opinion that they feel that is going to go to the United States Supreme Court, and remember, they're just one court below the United States Supreme Court. Then they have to make that, and they're going to make this breathtaking historical decision. They have to make that stand up in the United States Supreme Court, and there's many issues involved that they have to address here, and so I can understand that they're taking time, and to our position, the more time they take, the better it looks for us, and the more time it takes, the better the opinion will be. So we need to, I'm very hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm going to stay hopeful. I'm going to say again, that might be wishful thinking, but any trained lawyer can tell you at this point it's looking good for us. So that's where we are.
Well, because we're dealing with a global mafia here, another follow-up to that question is if the judge rules in our favor, they're obviously going to be irritating a great deal of people, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that either they or their family members could be threatened. Is there any way to offer protection for that, or no?
Well, it is the job of federal law enforcement to protect people, especially if they're plaintiffs in a federal case. That is their job. That is their responsibility. And I talk about that when I was in court, and I talk about it in our papers very clearly. We're going to have to ask the federal authorities to do their job and to protect our plaintiffs. We're continuing to do that. I can tell you, I actually do that all the time, and I'm hopeful that they'll just protect our plaintiffs. That's all. We asked the judge for U.S. Marshals. We put it in our papers, and I made our oral argument on it, and he just couldn't see his way clear to do it. He didn't want to. His words was that he didn't want to flood the convention with U.S. Marshals because he was concerned about how that would look. It's too bad he wasn't concerned with busloads of people being kidnapped. I'm sorry he wasn't concerned about that. I want to be respectful to the judge, but I would be more concerned with busloads of people being kidnapped and a state senator being attacked than I would with how it looks to Romney. So we'll continue to ask for U.S. Marshals to protect our plaintiffs.
Mr. Gilbert?
Go ahead, Grammy.
This is Grammy J from Drake & Company, and I want to tell you that you are awesome. I love you. I am honored that you are here with us this evening, and you have given us all hope. You have no idea the excitement that is floating around on Facebook right now. I'm monitoring the page. Other people are monitoring chat. We are all so excited, and even though we all got blown off, most likely by the bad guys, you notice that Drake & Company does not give up. We got you back on, and please just take every moment to say everything that you can get in. God bless you.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that, but, we're all doing this together. We're all equals. We're all standing shoulder to shoulder, fighting this for freedom, liberty, fighting for our Constitution, fighting to save our nation. We're doing this all together as equals, and we're going to fight to the last person. We're going to fight to the last person to save our country and to save our Constitution, and we want to send that message out, and that message is being sent out. It's being sent out. They know where we're fighting, and we're not going to quit. We're never going to quit. We're going to keep on fighting.
To be more specific with the listeners, one of the main questions they're asking, how do we write in Ron Paul for president? How do we do that and get that word out there?
Okay, we have to do it because of the existing laws that we have, which in many states prevent it. We do have to bring a second federal case, which right now my Twitter followers and I have been planning. We're planning this second federal case. We're working out the details. We're compiling the states. We're looking at the state laws. Just like we planned the first case, we're planning this case. And we will be filing a second federal case, and we're going to name all 50 states. We're going to name all 50 states in this second case. And we're going to ask for a federal court order that requires the 50 states to allow any voter on election day to vote their conscience, to vote for whoever they want to vote for. And I'll tell you what law are we going to use to accomplish that. I'll tell you what law we're going to use to accomplish that. The law we're going to create with our victory opinion in just a few days. That law is the law we're going to use to accomplish it. And we are going to win that second case. And we're going to have Dr. Paul. People are going to be lined up around the country, and you're going to see it on TV, holding pens in their hands, ready to write in. And those states are going to be required to have paper ballots with a blank space for a write-in candidate named Ron Paul. Ron Paul. We're going to get that job done.
Absolutely correct.
So those paper ballots, where will they be counted? Will they be counted in full public view, or are they going to ship them off to Israel to be counted in some dark room somewhere?
Good question.
Hey, quit it.
Well, that is a good question because that brings up the whole issue of the algorithms on the voting machines that are rigged, where they take these computer programs and these voting machines and they ship them off to Switzerland or other places in Europe, places unknown to us. They're counting the votes of U.S. elections, and people in the U.S. don't even know that voting machines are rigged and that they've been shipped off to another country to have the votes counted outside the country. Well, with these paper ballots, we're going to ask the judge to oversee the counting of these paper ballots. We're going to make sure it gets done right, and we're going to make sure that it's been done by the election officials who are required to, and that they preserve the paper ballots in case they need, we need to take a look at it, or the courts need to take a look at it to make sure that all the votes are counted. And that's how we're going to get Dr. Paul named President of the United States. We're going to get him elected. That's what's going to happen. We're not asking him. We're drafting him. We don't need his signature. We don't need his permission. We're just doing it.
Great. Okay. Would you like, Greg, should we go on to the next area of topic? Or
Sure.
I do have a number of questions that have been coming in, through our our chat and through Skype and everything, but we'll get to those because we've only got about less than 30 minutes of your time left. So can we go on to topic number 3? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let me go get back to it. Okay. The third thing, that was the Romney eligibility and alleged felony campaign solicitations, but you already covered that. Did we cover the foreign funds?
No, we
did talk about that.
The receipt of foreign funds.
Yes.
Yeah, the campaign contributions. They're illegal. It's a felony crime. So we just need to put them in prison, and that'll take care of it. Okay. I mean, you can't. It's a felony. It's a felony to take 1 penny from any foreigner, either outside the United States or inside the United States. It's just a felony crime. So
right.
we just, how many felony crimes did Romney commit? For each dollar that.
Uh-oh. Is he there?
Well, let's see. He's still there, but I'm not hearing him.
I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, are you still there?
There he is.
Uh-oh. I hope his cell phone isn't dying.
Well, he's still on the board. It hasn't said that he's dropped yet, but his voice dropped out. Mr. Gilbert, if you can hang up and call back in. You were breaking up there a little bit before during the last thing you were saying. And once we get you back on here, we'll be fine. Yeah, of course. They're still messing with us, and every time they step up to the plate,
he got cut off.
Okay.
He did get cut off.
Yeah. What's the number? I got to give him the number again.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Send it to me. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to give it.
We're sorry, audience.
The number to dial in is 805-399-1200.
Hold on a second. Don't give me the conference number. 805-399.
1200, and don't repeat that code. The access code to get in.
Exactly. Let me look that up because I gave it to him before. Hold on a second.
And if I could take just a
right
second, we're having a little trouble with the conference line. Apparently, a message was posted on Facebook that published the panel guest access code. So if you used the 959 panel guest access code, please take this opportunity to hang up and call back using the access code 153938. That is 153938. What happens is if you've got too many hosts in the conference, then it screws it up for everybody, and I don't want to interrupt the program. So if you used the code starting with 959 to get into the room, to get onto the phone, please hang up, call back using the access code 153938. And if you could do that, we'd appreciate it greatly, and that will probably help to keep our guest from being bounced off. Area code 254-526. If you could, if you're not one of the panel members, if you could please.
That would be Grammy J.
That will okay then. All right.
Calling back in right now, and Denise, I think under the circumstances, I may be wrong, but under the circumstances, for the benefit of our listeners, because this is such an important topic, I think Richard might be agreeable to extending beyond that time frame.
I hope so. We've lost so much time between disconnections and everything else. And Drake, are you still having thunderstorms?
I don't even know if he's on. Let me see.
Did we lose Drake too?
We left him a couple of times.
Oh, there he is. Are you still having thunderstorms, Drake?
It ain't thunderstorms. It's rains from that stupid tropical depression, hurricane, whatever it wanted to think.
Oh, my friend Isaac.
Yeah.
This is about to float my driveway away and all that up here, and I'm on a mountain, so you can imagine. Anyway, no, it's just real heavy rain, and they have purposely cut off this phone at least once that I know of. Now,
Boy.
What the problem is that anybody can hack into these things and do what they want to, pretty much.
Yeah, I immediately sent a nasty gram to Blog Talk Radio, and basically told them that I had better receive a phone call from their administration tomorrow, that I was having an emergency broadcast on another network, but this won't happen again.
Well, you can always send them a bill for the day.
Yeah, they sure as heck bill me, so they'll receive a bill. We have people from all over the country, that gave up their time to be a part of this program, and this won't happen again.
And
they're
Mr. Gilbert
crazy out there in support of what this man is doing.
Absolutely. And I think Mr. Paul Carr, I don't know if he has been able to call in or not. Paul Carr was at the Burbank studios today where Ron Paul was appearing on Jay Leno, and they had a sign blast or something, where a sign bomb, where they all carried Ron Paul signs and everything, and basically gathered outside of the studios in support of Ron Paul. And Ron Paul is supposed to be making an announcement of some kind on the Jay Leno show tonight.
Is Mr. Gilbert back in yet?
I don't know, but Grammy's cell phone's ringing.
I got it. I muted that sucker.
Okay. What I can do is as soon as I punch in Mr. Gilbert's phone number as a contact on the Studio B system here, I can add him. I'll conference him in. So there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Well, I sent him the number, so hopefully he's calling back in.
Well, either that or his cell phone died, or he's blocked his signal.
Can one of you contact him directly, Greg or Dan?
That's what he's doing, Grammy. He's going to conference him in.
Okay.
Yeah, so give me just a second to punch up his phone number here. And, you guys just go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I'm just really excited. I mean, this just made my day. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Our friend Wombat on Skype just said, "We are sorry for this break in our freedom. We are doing what we can to restore the Constitution. Please take this time to read the Constitution, and we will be back with you shortly."
I love it. Love it.
Richard just responded to me, okay, so I think he's back on.
Okay.
Richard?
Richard, are you there? Not yet. Not yet.
He's back.
Well, he's trying, clearly.
When he comes
What was
back,
that?
I got a question for him.
Okay, Drake. You're going to have to speak up once again, Drake. You're kind of muffled or weak this evening.
My telephone's floating. What do you expect?
I hope you float good.
I do. No, I was just curious as to how this might go to the public trust. That might be a way to.
Grammy, hang on.
Excuse me,
Grammy,
Paul,
hang on.
Interrupt. Paul,
yeah, go ahead.
Can you call Richard? He's asking for you to call him.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Let me add his number. And,
okay, I'm sorry, Drake. What were you saying?
Hello,
Drake.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, he's still there.
All right, now, am I still real weak?
You're a little bit better.
Oh, a little bit better. Well, I'm screaming in the friggin' phone to make it heard. What I'm wondering is just how far this goes towards the public trust in terms of disbanding the corporation, because corporations can be taken apart on that basis alone. And it doesn't matter which one. If the DNC does it, same.
Okay, well, as soon as he gets back, you can pose your question to him right away, because I think that's a excellent question.
That's a
He's
great
standing
question.
by waiting for Paul to call him. So.
There we go. He's calling him.
There we go.
Oh, And
Okay,
he
I'm
just
here.
dialed in. So,
I'm in.
he's in.
You're in.
Okay.
Disregard that phone call.
Yeah, disregard that phone call.
Welcome back, Richard.
Welcome
Okay.
to the merry-go-round.
That's okay. So that, you know what? Once the police state gets worse, this is how we're going to have to communicate. We're going to have to use
and
different
where there's
means
a
of
will, there's a
communication.
way. You know.
Right.
Here's a question for you, Richard.
Yeah.
How far would this go toward a public trust violation where you can take down a corporation totally, have it disbanded?
Well, I can tell you just from a legal point of view, I don't think that the courts are going to disband the Republican Party. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think we're going to get an opinion where that's going to allow us and plaintiffs to go back into court and just take down the Republican Party ourselves until we take it over, control it, and run it. Our candidates for public office, our delegates in various states, I think we'll be running this Republican Party in less than 2 years. I think Mr. Boehner's ears are still ringing from the noise he heard in that convention floor of the Liberty Movement, and I think he knows time is up. Time's up. The Liberty Movement's taken over.
Okay. That's the only question I had. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, what subject do you want to go on to?
Richard, this is Greg again. Real quick, we're going to move on to a new topic here in just a second, but I just wanted to make sure for the listeners that with respect to Romney and his alleged felony campaign solicitation violations, which are potential felony violations, aside from the corrupt DA that you were talking about, do you still see those potential charges being brought against Romney? And if so, by whom?
Well, it would have to be the Department of Justice to bring the charges. And I don't know if they're going to bring the charges or not. I don't run the Department of Justice, but I know that there's more than ample evidence to convict this guy, including just television video of him committing felony crimes. I mean, so there's more than ample evidence. I mean, kidnapping delegates at a convention. I mean, you know, if someone else kidnaps someone, they'd get arrested and do 20 years. Romney kidnaps busloads of people. You know, so I mean, there's plenty of evidence to put this guy in prison where he belongs for the rest of his life, and 100 lifetimes past that.
Good.
Yeah. His business partner, Alan Stanford, is doing 110 years prison time for this Ponzi scheme that Romney started.
Hey, that's the fourth topic, and you just led right into it. Perfect. You want to talk a little bit about your knowledge? I'll let Denise take over. I apologize, Denise.
That's okay.
Can you, Richard, talk a little bit about now the fourth area, which is the Alan Stanford connection there and the Ponzi scheme that he was running, which resulted in a 111-year prison sentence in June for Alan Stanford. Can you, for our listeners, tap into a little bit of that, along with Romney's tie with his son Tag in that whole partnership scam, if you will?
Yeah, well, Romney and his son created this Ponzi scheme scam with $10 million of seed money, and what Romney's son is quoted as saying about this scam is that he says, and I'm quoting his exact words, they are friends of ours. We helped them get started. We own a piece of them. Okay, so Alan Stanford, who's doing 110 years in prison, is a friend of Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney owns a piece of him. Mitt Romney helped them get started.
And can you talk about the Ponzi?
That's called a confession.
And can you talk about what created the 110-year prison sentence for Alan Stanford? What was it? Okay.
What they did, we all remember Bernie Madoff, so what they did in this case is they were selling fraudulent certificates of deposit, CDs. Fraudulent certificates of deposits as a Ponzi scheme, and Romney made his profits, and he's keeping them. He's not giving the money to the crime victims. That man has character. He doesn't even turn over his profit to the crime victims. He won't even do that. That's how sick this man is. So he's sitting there with the profits of this Ponzi scheme, and he won't even help out the folks that are criminals, that are victims of these criminals that he started, his friends that he owns a piece of. So that's the deal with the Ponzi scheme. The crime has already been proven. It's nothing theoretical about it. Stanford was convicted of the crime. His son was involved in helping to manage this mess, and Romney, of course, is the crime boss. So you've got a crime already proven in court with a convicted business partner named Alan Stanford. So do we have listeners here? Do we have listeners? Because I'll give you something. I'll tell you something I haven't said before.
Please.
I'll tell you. You want to hear something? You want to make news? Okay. Yeah. There's some chance. There is some chance that I might represent Alan Stanford and help him turn over on Romney and provide evidence against Romney and get a shorter sentence so that he can get out of prison and have some time in his life if he cooperates and provides evidence against Romney. So there's some chance. I'm perfectly willing to do it, and I'm willing to do it free to see if we can put this together. And I can tell you that there is communication. Some communication is taking place with Alan Stanford that may lead to this possibility. And so, to Mr. Romney, I wish you a good evening. Sleep well, sir, because I want you to know every day of your life I'm coming after you. Oh, and yeah. I don't care where you are when I come after you. We're going to get you. Yeah. We're going to get you, Mr. Romney. So you better go hide out in France right now. You better take off while you have the chance.
He can run, but he can't hide.
He probably has the Lear already fueled up.
Exactly.
So there's a strong possibility of turning state's evidence, is what you're saying, for Mr. Stanford.
That's right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead, Denise.
We have two more areas of question, and I was going to kind of reverse them. Let's start with the rumors about Romney's eligibility as far as his citizenship and his father possibly being a Mexican national.
Okay, let me explain how this deal works. What we're talking about is what is the definition of a natural-born citizen. Okay, now to understand this, this is set out in the Constitution. It's in Article 2, Section 5 of the Constitution. And it says to be President of the United States, you have to be a natural-born citizen. Well, what does a natural-born citizen mean? Well, we have to understand something about history to understand this. We have to go back to actually the days of the Founding Fathers when they drafted the Constitution. And at that time, we had the first Chief Justice of the United States was named John Jay. That name may sound familiar from studying history or civics. John Jay was our first U.S. Supreme Court justice, and John Jay had some wisdom here, and he got into George Washington's face, and he just wouldn't get out of George Washington's face. And John Jay was really concerned about protecting the office of the President of the United States with strong language in the Constitution. And what John Jay was bugging George Washington about and wouldn't let up was he wanted language in the Constitution that said, you have to be a natural-born citizen, and that meant you have to be born on U.S. soil, the child of two U.S. citizens. Your mother has to be a U.S. citizen, and your father has to be a U.S. citizen. That is the historic definition of natural-born citizen. Now, Romney's father was not a United States citizen. In fact, Utah wasn't even a state at that time. So there was no chance that Romney's father was a United States citizen because Utah wasn't a part of the United States. So Romney has the same situation as, at a minimum, as President Obama, whose father is not a United States citizen. So we have these two individuals, President Obama and Romney, right now, who's the fraudulent nominee of the Republican Party, neither of whom meet the historical definition of natural-born citizen. Neither of them meet it. We have this other guy named Ron Paul. He is a natural-born citizen. His parents were citizens of the United States. And I'll tell you one more thing about Ron Paul. He served in the military. And these are two other guys didn't. So we have the best candidate since George Washington, who meets the qualifications that George Washington and the Founding Fathers established for presidents of the United States. And we have these two other guys who don't meet the qualifications, not the historical definition of natural-born citizen, and that comes from John Jay. So we have John Jay to thank for protecting the office of president, and now it's up to now I got to figure out what to do about this mess. But we can start by saying Romney is not qualified to be president of the United States. He is not a natural-born citizen of the United States because he doesn't have two parents who were U.S. citizens at the time of his birth. So that's it. That's Article 2, Section 5 of the Constitution.
Please tell us all, step by step, what we can do to help you with Ron Paul.
I'll tell you what you can do to help with Ron Paul. You get yourself a good working pen, you show up in November, and you write his name in for President of the United States. And the only exception to that is if we win the Republican nomination for Ron Paul after this case. One way or the other, we're voting for Ron Paul. Now, we
are in a state where we cannot do that without your court order.
Don't worry. We're going to get that court order.
All right.
Don't you worry about it. You get your Ron Paul pen ready. You need to get, we should make some Ron Paul pens so everybody in the country can have a Ron Paul pen and show up and just shock them. We'll just shock them. And we'll just use our Ron Paul pens, and we will make Ron Paul the President of the United States, one way or the other, either as the Republican nominee or as the write-in candidate. Now, there are some people out there feeding us some garbage about making Ron Paul the vice presidential nominee of the Libertarian Party. What kind of garbage is that? I mean, how stupid do they think we are? Ron Paul is nobody's vice president. Ron Paul is the president. He's going to be the president, and we're not going to quit. Gary Johnson's not willing to step aside for Ron Paul. There's no reason why Ron Paul should be running as a vice president on any other party's ticket. That's ridiculous. That's completely ridiculous. Nobody has stood up for the Constitution like Ron Paul has. No one. Now, if Gary Johnson wants to step aside, well, then what we have to do is not just push people out of office like some people want to do. Well, we need to let the delegates vote on that. Then I mean the Libertarian Party delegates. They can't be disenfranchised. We can't do to the Libertarian delegates what was done to us. That stains the reputation of the Ron Paul supporters. I mean, that's outrageous to tell people call 3 different numbers and harass Dr. Paul into willing to become the vice presidential candidate, and will throw the vice presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party off the ticket. And then they have the nerve to say, oh, we're not throwing him off the ticket. He's making his own decision. No, you're pressuring him off the ticket, and you're disenfranchising the delegates in the Libertarian Party who, with their souls and their monies and their hearts, they got their candidate nominated. That's just not the way to go. That's just poor judgment.
People are asking if you have a Twitter account where you can be reached so they can be supportive of you, sir.
Okay, it's ampersand, at USA _ free, the word free, _ press. It's USA _ free _ press. And you always have to put that ampersand sign in front of it. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. And what we do is when we get the trolls come in on Twitter, they can't do what they do elsewhere. We can control the trolls. So that's how we do it. And right now, if anyone's interested, we are now. My Twitter followers and I are actually planning the second federal case right now. We're doing the research, the legal research. We're doing we're identifying the states and the different laws we're going to deal with. And so you can watch it. You can watch the case develop just the way we developed the first case. We're developing this case, and we're doing it right now. So it's an exciting time for us on Twitter. And we're getting ready. We're getting ready to have a good result with the appellate court. We're hoping. You know, as I say, anything can happen. I can't make guarantees, but it's looking good, so we're going to be hopeful.
Just tell the people what to do, and I'm sure they'll step up. As a matter of fact, if you think you're ever going to be in the market for a bodyguard, there are people lining up to provide that service. All you got to do is cover room and board. So if you've got a guest house out back, just roll out the cots.
Okay. I tell you what, I knew when I started this whole thing that I was putting myself in a dangerous position, and I just had to make a decision. Am I willing to do this? Am I willing to do this for my country, for my Constitution? Am I willing to do this for my children and their children and the next generations? Well, they're going to look back on us, and they're going to say, what did we do when it came time to save the Constitution? Our Constitution is in the greatest danger it has ever been in since the American Revolution. We are in the greatest peril we have ever been in. We have a president and a fraudulent nominee of our party both saying that they intend to suspend the Constitution whenever they feel like it. That's what they're saying. When you suspend the Constitution, you are causing its utter destruction. We're not going to let them do it. We're not letting them do it. We're going to stop them. They're not suspending the Constitution. Not even for 1 second are they going to suspend the Constitution. It's our responsibility as U.S. citizens to prevent that. Each and every one of us. Each and every one of us has to step up and stand shoulder to shoulder as equals. Now, people ask, what can they do? Well, part of the answer is what not to do. What not to do. Do not do these ridiculous schemes that you're hearing about where you should make harassing phone calls to Dr. Paul's 3 different offices to harass him into trying to take the vice presidential spot on another party's ticket and throw off their nominee. Don't do it. Just don't call and tell everyone else not to call. Tell them it's a stupid plan. The people that put that plan together lied to begin with. They said that they had spoken to Dr. Paul and they had important news to tell everyone. So 700 or 800 people get on the line and they listen to this important news, and it turns out to be nothing, complete empty words. That Dr. Paul didn't say a single word to encourage this, not at all. It was just a big lie. And then they started and said, Dr. Paul has announced he's no longer a member of the Republican Party. That was another big lie. Dr. Paul has never made any such announcement like that. And then they start getting people to say, call Dr. Paul and harass him, telling him, we want you to be the vice presidential candidate. Why aren't they telling him we want you to be the presidential candidate? You know, if you can't be the presidential candidate, we don't need that party, okay? And the only people that make the decision who are the nominees of that party are the delegates. No one else, not Ron Paul supporters. The delegates of that party make those decisions, and they're not asking to make those decisions. And many of them are already complaining about Ron Paul supporters for even trying to pull a stunt like that. So part of it is to know what not to do. Don't get suckered into what some of these other people are trying to do. That they're trying to make it in one way or another so that Ron Paul is not running for president. That's the bottom line of what they're doing. We're not standing for that. Ron Paul's running for president. We're running him for president one way or the other, and he's going to be president. We're going to do everything we can to make him president. And why? Because it's the only way we can save our country and our Constitution, and that's why. He's the only guy. There is no one else. There's no one else. There's no one with his integrity. There's not even anyone else that's even saying and taking the positions that he takes about the Constitution and freedom and liberty. He's the only one. So this is our time. He's our George Washington, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. We're going to fight to the last man to make it happen. We're going to fight to the last person, our brothers and our sisters. We're going to fight to make Ron Paul president. We're not going to fight to make Ron Paul vice president. We're going to fight to make him president, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it either as a write-in or we're going to get the Republican nomination. It's one of the two, and that's how we're going to do it. Okay.
All right. Richard, we have a couple of quick questions. Is Ron Paul possibly listening to us tonight, or is he still taping the Jay Leno?
No, because he's on Jay Leno, so he's not listening to us. He's probably taping that show right now. So,
okay.
No, he's not listening to
Okay, and there was a question that, well, it was said or rumored that Dr. Paul was going to make some kind of announcement on Jay Leno this evening. Would you know what that?
Well, here's the thing. That's what happens. People make up stories that aren't true. Ron Paul never said he was making any announcement on Jay Leno tonight. Now, maybe he will make an announcement, but the point is he never said he was going to make an announcement. Okay, so it's not right for people to make up stories and spread rumors that he was going to make an announcement when he never said he was going to make an announcement. So let's get our facts. People shouldn't say that about Ron Paul. He never said that. Now, he may give us a big surprise. He may make some kind of announcement. We'll see.
But it wasn't scheduled. Yeah.
No, he has not said he's going to make an announcement. No, he has not.
Okay. Drake, did you have some words you wanted to share?
No, not really. I'm just kind of listening in.
You're enjoying the show, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Richard, if you don't mind, I have a few questions from our chat and our email that I can kind of rapid fire you if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. If and when you win this court case, what remedies and relief will you be looking for from the court? In other words, what is the end game, or will it be a total revote, or what is the goal?
Well, we're gonna search the opinion for language that we can use to go back into court if we have to seek a revote, because Romney is not the nominee of the Republican Party. He didn't follow the law. So he's a fraudulent nominee. We have a right to have a proper vote, and we have a right to have all of our delegates who are duly elected. They threw off hundreds of duly elected delegates. They don't have the right to do that. That's a crime. That's another crime. For every time they did it, it's a separate crime. So we want our delegates who were duly elected to vote for the candidates. And the delegates will decide who's put in nomination, and there's not going to be there's no party rules involved here. The delegates make the decisions who gets put in nomination. There's no plurality rules or anything like that. In fact, if we win our case, no candidate would have a plurality of any states because none of the delegates will be bound. 0 delegates. It'll be just like the Continental Congress. That's what we're hoping for, and that's what we'll continue fighting for.
Okay. All right. What happens now to the new RNC rule taking away the delegate process and giving it to the nominee to pick who they want? Are we going to try and get that rule abolished altogether?
Yeah, we're going to take that rule, we're going to turn it into rope, and we're going to tie those guys up, and we're going to throw them right out of the party. That's what we're going to do. Well, we're not going to tolerate that. They're not stealing our party. We're not going to have a handful of people, just a few people in Washington, D.C., making announcements that they can make their own rules even without a vote. You know what? We're going to make our own rules. We're going to make our own rules, and our first rule is they're gone. They're done. They're not running the Republican Party anymore. They're out of here. Okay? Mm-hmm. We can all make rules. We can all play that game. I don't know why our delegates walk out when they're told to walk out. They should stand there. They should stand there and fight. They should stand there and pick up a chair and start throwing at the people that are trying to remove them. They're duly elected delegates. Nobody removes our duly elected delegates. I'll tell you something. If I'm a duly elected delegate and some moron walked up to me and said, "You're leaving now," I say, "Well, one of us is going to be dead in 10 minutes." Okay? Yeah. There's no way you walk out when you're a duly elected delegate. You have a job to do, and you vote. You vote. You don't walk out.
Right. Exactly. Okay, now this next thing is actually a brief email that was sent in, and I'm sorry I don't have the lady's name. I do believe it was a lady. She said, "I have been listening to Drake from the beginning, and I was a plaintiff in the RNC lawsuit, and I want to thank Richard very, very much for pursuing this lawsuit. Sue Everhart had threatened everyone before the convention and all the way through the delegate process. I live in the most corrupt county in close to the most corrupt state. Each time the delegates were supposed to be elected, the delegates were chosen by the elite. Sue Everhart sent all of us interviewing for national delegates appointments for the state convention. Then at 6 o'clock in the morning on the day of the interview, canceled all of the interviews, stating that there were too many people to interview. The list goes on and on."
Yeah, she's the Georgia party chairman, and she's been committing felony crimes for a long time now. We need to have her put in prison. That's what we need to do. And we can bring a RICO suit against her for her corruption, take away all of her finances, take away her home, and throw her out in the street, make her homeless. That's what we need to do. All of that. So what we need, what I need is, we need to get a Georgia lawyer. Okay, so we can file some lawsuits over there in Georgia, one after the other, against Sue Eberhardt, the criminal in Georgia, the Georgia criminal, and that's one of them. There's others, but she's one of them, and I know about her. I know all about her. She's just a criminal. She doesn't deserve any respect. She deserves to be spit on. She's a criminal, and we're going to treat her like a criminal. And when we get, when it's our turn, once we get the big cases out of the way, we're going to go after these criminals. We're going to go after them. We're going to make them regret that they ever got into politics because we're coming after them, and that's for damn sure. We're definitely going to come after them. We're going to take over this party, and we're going to clean it up. We're going to clean this party up. We're going to run it the way a political party should be run, and we're going to throw out the trash. We're just going to throw out the trash, and our kids are going to be thankful that we cleaned up the Republican Party. And let me ask you this question. What voices are standing up for the Constitution in the United States? What voices are fighting for our freedoms and liberty and to save our nation? I'll tell you what voices. It's Republicans. Republicans. I don't hear the voices of Democrats or independents. Where are their voices? We need to challenge them to stand with us. We need to challenge them to stand with us. And if you're a Democrat or an independent and you care about saving this nation and saving our Constitution and our freedoms, then you need to vote for Ron Paul. That's who you need to vote for, because you don't have any other choice. There is no other candidate trying to save our nation. So that's who you need to vote for. Where are their voices? So let's start talking to our loyal opposition over there and tell them, get on board here. Let's start hearing your voices about joining the Liberty Movement. Join the Liberty Movement. Either you join the Liberty Movement or you're going to get run over by freedom. That's what we're going to say to them. Join the Liberty Movement or get run over by freedom. And we want them all joining in. We're growing fast. We are strong. We are strong and we're growing fast.
We embrace you, Richard, because the Global Voice 2012, regardless of party, it doesn't matter if they're, independent, Republican, Democrat, or whatever, we are all about freedom and our Constitution. And so I am most certain, based on the hubbub on our Facebook page and the email and the chat and everything else, you have thousands of listeners that are at your, they're at your side. So they want to thank you for that. Okay, let's see. The next thing that we have is this is another comment that somebody had attended a grassroots activist meeting this past weekend where a Dudley Brown from NAGR was saying that the best option was to work inside the party and change it, and that if we kept Obama in office, it would pave the way for Rand Paul in 2016.
Yeah, there's a chess player. Okay, so we're going to hear that. Some people even say that in good faith, But I don't know what that means. I'll tell you this. When you start dealing with the devil, you become the devil. You become the devil if you deal with the devil. We're not going to negotiate. We're not negotiating with the crime family that's running the Republican National Committee. Instead, we're serving them notice. You're done. You're fired. Get the hell out of town. We're taking over the Republican Party. And you heard the noise in that convention hall, and we're taking over the Republican Party, and we're kicking them all out. We're just going to throw them out. We have nothing to negotiate with them. For what they did, they're not even remorseful. We're not negotiating them. We're not working with them. We're not compromising with them. We're going to defeat them. We're simply going to defeat them. And we're taking over state delegations. We're taking over states. We're taking over this party. That's what we're doing. We're bringing freedom, liberty, and the Constitution back to the Republican Party, and we're taking out the trash. And there's no compromise and no negotiation. That's what we're going to do.
Okay. Next question is, with all the lawsuits against Romney, can you touch on the case related to Falcone? I don't know the correct pronunciation. Falcone?
Okay, well, you know what? The question is going to have to educate me on that one. Are you talking about Al Capone?
No, Falcone, Falcone.
Okay, what is that, another crime that Romney committed that I haven't heard about yet? I don't know. What is it?
He was a New York businessman. Does anybody else have anything on the Falcone? Paul, are you there?
Never heard.
Yeah, I've never heard
of him.
Okay, well,
there's another case against Romney, and it has to do with a New York businessman, Falcone, Falcone. Okay, well, I'll see if we can't find something on that while we go on to the next one. Do you think that the PTB are supporting Romney with his background to swing the vote to Obama, who they really secretly want in?
Okay. Well, now, let me get again who it is that would be supporting.
The powers that be. Do you think that the powers that be are supporting Romney with his background in order to try to swing the vote to Obama, who they really want in?
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter to me if there are people doing that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there are people doing that their plan is to get Romney the nomination so that Obama can beat him. I don't know. That maybe there are people that do that. Maybe they think they're doing it and they're not really doing it. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll tell you, we don't care. We're taking Romney down. That's all there is to it. And we're taking him down for the reasons we've discussed in this show. And we're going to take over the party, and we don't care. That's like we're talking about some outsiders rigging our party so that Obama can win the election. I'll tell you what. Anything's possible. I don't have information on that.
Okay.
So I'm not. I only say things that I know I can prove. So I can prove what I've said in the course of this show. But when you see that when I get to something that I don't think I can prove, I'll tell you that too. I don't know anything about it. I can't personally prove that. So that tells you I can prove everything else I said. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. This is an oddly worded question. Did the good Dr. Paul, when he signed an agreement with the GOP to not run as an independent if he was not nominated in Tampa, might he have reserved his natural rights with the formal all rights reserved line over his signature? That's a very oddly worded question. I think they're just trying to ask. Yeah. Go ahead.
I understand the question. I have never heard that Dr. Paul has signed any agreement not to run as an independent. I never heard that, but I don't know of any such agreement. Maybe someone else knows about it, but again, I only say the things I can prove. So I don't know about that.
Right. Well, of course, they were saying that he resigned from the Republican Party, which is not the case either.
That doesn't sound like Ron Paul to me, signing something, some nonsense like that. I don't think that he's the kind of man that signs junk like that. So I wouldn't. As I hear it, I don't believe it, but I don't know. I've never heard it before, so I don't know. But I don't think it's true.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Any chance that the lawsuit that you have filed will not only put a stop to Romney, but be able to be applied to other government officials, that are participating in voter fraud?
Well, the lawsuit hopefully is going to change the way that all presidents are chosen in the future. And because it'll change the way that all presidents are chosen in the future, everyone will have the right to vote their own conscience, that'll go a long way towards cleaning up the fraud. People are human beings. They can commit fraud, but we can catch them and get the authorities to prosecute them and put them in prison where they belong. But I think our case will go a long way towards changing the rules of how presidents are picked in all parties. And that'll help a lot to clean up the fraud. But the fraud in the Republican Party is overwhelming. I mean, the fraud that we've seen by these organized criminals is just shocking. I mean, it even shocks me. There's so much of it. That's how shocking it is. I can't believe it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Right. Okay. A couple of these questions, sir, I'm not sure are along the lines that you would be able to answer, but I'll throw them out there anyway. Do you know Ron Paul's position on Social Security and Medicare, and if he would be for a single-payer type health care system?
Ron Paul is very consistent in his positions. He thinks that people should take care of themselves, and that we shouldn't have government programs that take money from people, put it into these programs, and then they get drips and drabs of it back. And people are better off just keeping their own money and the fruits of their labor. That's what Ron Paul says. So I think that we would have a much better system with Ron Paul because people would have more of their own money, and they would be able to take care of themselves. And that's what personal responsibility is all about.
Okay. So this next question is more or less similar.
Let me just say, somebody can tell me, did George Washington have Social Security?
I'm sure he didn't. We didn't even have an income tax until what, 1913? So I think that Dr. Paul would say, let's have everybody take care of themselves. Mhm. Okay. All right. So this next question is kind of sort of similar. It has been said that Ron Paul stated that he would shut down the Federal Reserve, halt the Afghan war, and stop war with Syria and Iran. Would he also reinstate Glass-Steagall and restore Alexander Hamilton's American system with money based on national credit and not debt instruments run by banks, national banks?
Well, I think Ron Paul's been very clear about that. He end the Fed. I understand what end the Fed means. It means end the Fed, and terminate it. It doesn't exist anymore. I mean, people talk about auditing the Fed. We should do that, and we should find out what they've been up to. But we need to end the Fed, and our money should be based on the precious metals. It should be based on precious metals like it used to be.
Better yet, end it.
That's what gives our money value, is precious metals.
Okay, let's see. Is it legal to segregate all delegated of a certain candidate to just one place of a building or congregation hall? Is that not against civil law, and is that not segregation? That's like keeping blacks in the back of the bus or not drinking from the same fountain as a white man.
Well, that's what you tell people. This is a free country. Who are you going to tell where they have to stand or sit? I mean, this is a free country. And we're going to, this is the way the Republican committee works. It's because they're criminals. They sound like a third world country. They commit, Romney's like a third world dictator. They commit all these crimes to try and steal delegates, and when their crimes don't succeed, they then just throw the delegates that were elected off their delegations, like a third world dictator. Then they show up at the convention and they kidnap them. They tell them where to stand, where to sit, who they can talk to, or whether they can talk or not. You know what? The security guards don't run the convention. I say we throw the security guards out and the delegates run the convention. And they can stand and sit wherever they want, and they can talk to whoever they want. And anybody who tries to stop them, that person needs to be dealt with. We need to deal with those criminals. They're not going to tell us where to stand and sit and who to talk to or how to do anything. It's the delegates that run the convention. That's how it's all going to turn out.
Okay. Would Ron Paul be on board with the change that Drake is working on, such as bringing down the cabal and shutting down investment banks and Wall Street?
Well, Ron Paul is about freedom. He's about freedom. So I think that a free market will take care of itself. What creates all the cabal and all of this nonsense that goes on in these private industries is the government interference in it, all the government regulations, bailing things out, things of that nature. That's what creates all the problems. Ron Paul is about freedom, and if you have freedom, the free marketplace will take care of itself. We don't have to fear a free marketplace. What we have to fear is a regulated marketplace, an unduly regulated marketplace to the point where there is no freedom anymore, and people can't create businesses and jobs, and because they can't even understand the regulations that are in their way. They can't drink raw milk.
Okay.
So freedom will take care of all that.
Okay, here's a question from one of the people in our chat room. Are you in the market for any research assistance? We have people wanting to volunteer to be research assistants for you.
Well, you know what? That's fine. I welcome people to send their names in. What we're trying to do here is we're making new law. We're making new rules. We're making freedom. That's what we're making. And so the nature of our research is to understand the laws that we have to deal with to get through them, to get to freedom. And anybody who wants to help and volunteer, they can just contact me, and I'll be more than happy to. Can I give my email address?
Please do.
If you want to give your email address out, sure.
I got nothing to hide. I'll tell you, I went on the Daily Poll one time. I gave them my cell phone number, my email address, and my address. Okay.
Well, everybody's got they got your Twitter, so let's get your email.
Okay, my email is my first name, Richard, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, attorney spelled out, A-T-T-O-R-N-E-Y, no spaces, Richard Attorney at gmail.com.
Okay.
That's my personal email address, okay? That's not even my office email. That's my personal email. Feel free. Feel free to contact me.
Okay. Well, I've got it down. Okay. All right. Do you think that Tony Blair and people are possibly people such as him are advising Romney through George Soros?
I hear about all these international theories. They can exist, but you know what? I don't care about them. I really just don't even care about them.
Bottom
because
line
we got the remedy. The remedy is elect Ron Paul president, and that'll take care of it. We don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't know what they're doing. I hear the stories like everyone else does, but I can't prove it, so I'm not going to claim I can prove it. And I know how to deal with it, and that's elect Ron Paul.
Okay. Okay. And I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to join you on Facebook as well. Do you have just a personal Facebook page, Richard, or do you have a group? Or
it's me. I do have a Facebook page. It's Richard Gilbert, Gilbert.
Okay. You don't have like a group or anything, though. Yeah. Okay.
No. I'm not a member of a group. I'm just Richard Gilbert, U.S. citizen.
Okay. And let's see. Falcone was a good guy whose money was stolen by Bush Sr., Romney and Company, according to some reports. To recap, in a prior White Hat report, Ed Falcone attempted to invest funds in a private placement program which would have benefited the Katrina victims who had lost their homes, and it would have provided help to an urban renewal project in Miami. However, Mitt Romney, our same Mitt Romney, introduced Falcone to former President George Herbert Walker Bush Sr., who then orchestrated the theft of Falcone's funds, utilizing the nefarious talents of Dr. Michael Herzog and Paul, I think it's Jeanette. When Falcone couldn't find help anywhere else, he reached out to Vice President Joseph Biden for assistance, and Bush Sr. Anyway, Secretary of State Clinton delivered the bribe, et cetera, et cetera. It was a huge thing with Katrina money, and that was raised by these New York businesses and stuff. So that's what that was about.
Okay, well, You know, if Romney thought it would help him, he would steal candy from a baby, and he would do it on television. Okay, so that's Romney. You know, I mean, the guy will commit any crime, steal anything. He is as bottom of the barrel as you can possibly get.
Okay.
I love this program.
Yeah, it says according to this, Falcone's initial funds have been traded numerous times, with Romney being paid in excess of $900 million for his part in the plot.
Well, you know, all I can say is, you know, if I said something on this program, it means I can prove it. And if I say I don't know about it and I can't prove it, I'm telling you that too. I'm just being honest about it. I can prove all his other crimes. You know, so I've already put him, you know, we can put him away for 100,000 lifetimes. But I don't know about this particular case.
Okay, great. That is all the questions that I have been presented. Drake, did you have anything you need or would like to add?
Well, not a whole lot. The thing that I'm looking at is that I want to see the baby. You know, the bathwater part that we're doing now is great, but I'd like to see somebody start, sweating blood or something. To put it mildly, the thing I'm looking at is that if any kind of a judge refuses to act right, you can also make them a plaintiff in a lawsuit.
Well, you mean the defendant in a lawsuit?
Yeah.
Well,
make him guilty of whatever he does that ain't right.
Yeah, the problem is judges have what's called absolute immunity, so you can't sue a judge. You can't sue a judge for any rulings that they make in a court. It's called absolute immunity. Yeah.
Okay, well, we can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, another one of our people is asking, how can we trust that our judges will rule favorably? You know, how can we?
Well, do you mean on our case? Is that what you mean, or?
Well, because they're basically the judges are owned by the cabal.
Okay.
In a lot of cases.
Well, you know, the Ninth Circuit. You know, we especially filed this case in the Ninth Circuit because the Ninth Circuit is well known for its courage in issuing honest opinions. The Ninth Circuit is unlike other circuits. We often hear that at different times that politicians are always complaining and they want to break up the Ninth Circuit. They want to break up the Ninth Circuit. Why do they want to break up the Ninth Circuit? Because the Ninth Circuit issues honest opinions that are favorable to the rights of people, and so we specifically picked the Ninth Circuit because of its reputation for honest opinions, and so I have a lot of confidence that we'll get a fair opinion.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay, lightning and thunderstorm. Sorry.
Lightning and thunderstorm.
Chihuahuas had to chime in. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we got your email address. Let's see.
I think Drake may have had a few more questions, Denise. I'm not sure.
Okay, go ahead, Drake.
Asking more questions?
Yeah.
Was that a request? I mean, I got questions, but I don't know that.
Well, if Mr. Gilbert has time and
I have time. Go ahead. Ask. I'm here. Go ask questions. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. I mean, I understand legalities and all that, but with the busted judicial system we got and all this, I have yet to see anything of any importance that it gets treated correctly in any way, shape, or form. And I was wondering about what kind of enforcement you were looking at in terms of these things. Follow what I'm saying?
Well, if we get a court order that has language in it.
What I'm talking about is you got international crimes that are being ignored, such as J.P. Morgan Chase and their money laundering, the fixing of LIBOR, and they are not adjudicating nobody. And that really, that sort of thing eats at me. So, this is one of the things that is questionable about some of the other judicial stuff that I'm involved with, what I'm looking at is if somebody needs the help, I do have the capacity to put together a pretty sizable group of people who would enforce such things, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm talking about constitutionally. In other words, anybody, including a judge, and I don't care who they think they are in whatever office, if they violate the laws of the land continually rule like an idiot if it's a judge, act like one if it happens to be a representative or somebody in office, and they violate the Constitution in the process and or the laws of the land, they're guilty of sedition.
I think that comment was made in the chat room.
I'm looking at, you tell me you can't adjudicate a judge. How about we slap him in federal prison for being a traitor?
Yeah,
I mean,
judges are supposed to have absolute immunity, but that's absolute immunity with respect to the corporate fiction that they've created. So under common law and constitutional law, even judges have to answer for their crimes. And I think that's the avenue that will be taken. Don't be thinking you can sue a judge in their court. That ain't going to happen.
That. I'm well aware of that. You can sue them for their rulings. I do know that because it's been done successfully by a couple of people I know.
Judicial review.
They didn't think it could be done either, but it did happen. And I was really pleasantly surprised that they were able to pull that off for varying reasons. But it wasn't as such a suit as much as it was a ruling against the judge on judicial misconduct, obstruction of justice, and things of that nature. So it really, and it fried a couple people, and they decided then to try to put in place of the law that they were supposed to follow a little thing called negotiation, So that would, I'm just, the noticings that I've seen, just, I think it's out of whack bad enough that it's going to come to a point of force in terms of enforcing the things we know to be right. And this is what concerns me. I'm worried to an extent that the people who've listened to our shows are knowledgeable, people who go to the website, things like this, they're actually oiling up their guns. They're getting ready to take matters into their own hands. And I've been fooling around with the military for a while and a few others, and I'm waiting to see these all this nice action everybody's been talking about, which would solve the Ron Paul problem, among others. I mean, when you got a guy that's guilty, he can't run for president. Simple stuff like that.
Right. Well, through the judicial review process, judges can be called on the carpet for what they do, and once they lose their bond, they lost their bench. So there are still avenues to be taken. Denise, did we have any more questions that had popped in from the chat room?
Just one more. Okay. Okay, this is for you, Richard. How will we ever find our freedom if the money paid to courts is funneled into Judges Association sludge funds held in the same offshore accounts that the Illuminati use in the Cayman Islands, etc.? Won't all those in prison now need new trials and all the judges have to be replaced? Can someone track the money and take it back?
Okay, well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a little that's out of my field of expertise. Okay. I'm just a lawyer in California, and I go to court and I fight for court rulings, and then when I get a court ruling that's successful, I fight to implement that court ruling, and that's what I intend to do in this case. Now, when you're talking about changing an entire system of justice with new people, that's just out of my area of expertise. I don't know about that.
Right. Well, they were just, I think, basically asking, doesn't violation of their oath of office actually remove a judge's immunity? Well,
a judge can be impeached. No, it doesn't remove immunity. No. That's why it's absolute. The word absolute immunity. And no matter what a judge does in a ruling on a case, they have absolute immunity from a civil lawsuit. Now, they can be prosecuted criminally if they violated a criminal statute. Like if a judge takes a bribe and you can prove that, you can prosecute that judge criminally. But you can't sue the judge. You can't just go around filing civil lawsuits against judges. They have absolute immunity.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good answer. Good question. Good answer. All right. That was all of the questions that I have been presented to ask. And I want to, Drake, did you have anything more that you wanted to, you had some more questions?
I just want to let Richard know that he's got our full support, okay? If he would send us anything that we can link to, we'll put it on the website and all that.
Absolutely.
And we need to have Richard.
I appreciate the support of all Americans, and as I say, we stand shoulder to shoulder as equals. We're all fighting together to save our Constitution, our freedoms, and we have the best candidate since George Washington in Ron Paul, and I'm confident that Paul will be remembered in history with the same stature as the founding fathers. 100 years from now, school children will study for their history exams, and they'll say, Paul, freedom, liberty, he saved the Constitution. Ron Paul, freedom, liberty, he saved the Constitution. We don't deserve to have Ron Paul as a candidate. We're lucky to have Ron Paul as a candidate. And so we need to do everything we can, every one of us. We need to do everything we can. What do you do? You can talk to your neighbors, your friends. You can get 10 people to support Ron Paul between now and November. That's what you can do. You get them Ron Paul pens. You go with them to the voting, and you all vote together for Ron Paul. And we can get him elected. We can do this. We can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we can.
Absolutely.
And Richard, this is Greg. I hope when the decision comes down that you'll consider coming back on with us to discuss the decision, whatever.
Sure, of course. We're going to have to discuss this decision, no matter what it is, win or lose. We need to deal with it, and we'll deal with it. Whatever it is, we'll deal with it. Why? Because we don't quit. We're never going to quit. We're going to keep fighting no matter what. We're just going to keep going, right to the last person. We're going to fight to get our country back.
And Richard, I think Dan Dieter had a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Dan?
Oh, Dan just made a statement he should share with you. Dan, are you there?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. You just have to speak up a little bit, Dan.
Okay, just a second. I'm going to turn the other sound down, too. Hold on a minute. Okay. Yeah, Richard, number one, I want to tell you that, we've listened to a lot of people in the movement over the last year, and you have got what we would call in the old country brass balls and more courage than 10 people that I know who thought were patriots. I mean, you combine all of that, but you got clear thinking, and you really, together with you and Ron and your group, you figured it all out. It's so simple. It's not complicated what we need, and you have it all. We just hope that, we want to see once and for all a person like you and a movement like yours prevail and not be kicked around by the greedy egomaniacs of the world. We have to collectively rise, and when people say you can't do right-in, well, you've just showed us a clear path where we can do right-in, and we're going to believe that you're going to get that ruling, and you are. I mean, Drake asked a great question. You are in a court, in a legal system that has a conscience, apparently. Some of the old guys somehow kept their souls and weren't bought off, apparently, and if they are, they should rule in your favor, and when it goes to the Supreme Court, we already know that they're bought, or a good portion of them are bought, but in the interim, maybe we can figure out a way how to stop them and expose them. If your ruling is so clearly based on law, which it is, I mean, all the way back to the Constitution, then there is no question that you have 100 ways to beat them, and hopefully that your truth will ring out through everybody that is listening, and it really is a great example of what truth can do.
Well, we're Ron Paul supporters. We don't quit. We're never going to quit. We'll fight until we save our Constitution and our nation. That's it. And it pushes around a Ron Paul delegate is never ever going to be the president of the United States. That's the penalty they're going to pay. And so we're going to keep going forward, and we'll come forward with, one case doesn't make a revolution. We'll come forward with case after case after case, in lawsuits in courts everywhere, and just like the sound at Convention Hall, the sound of liberty that filled that Convention Hall and made John Boehner look like a liar. We're never going to quit. We're never going away.
I will add that our listeners and other people have commented you should be vice president.
I agree.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what would be an honor? I would be honored to sweep the sidewalk that Dr. Paul walks on, so he has a clean sidewalk to walk on. Dr. Paul has served in Congress for 12 terms. He knows who's qualified to be president. We as Ron Paul supporters, he's not going to play the games that these other candidates play. He knows exactly who wants for his vice president, and we'll support that. We'll support his choice.
Mm-hmm. Richard, you showed us a great example of a man who's put his ego in the closet. You have, and Ron Paul has, which few people have on this planet. You do not let power carry away your ego. You set it aside, and you show a humbleness that this world needs and a compassion that this world needs. And maybe it'll become infectious from this very call you made tonight, because we can clearly see by example that your ego is not leading. You're letting it lay aside, and that is wonderful.
Yes.
Well, we need to all together. We're doing it for the next generations. That's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for our children, their children, and the generations to come, so that they can look back and they can say, when our Constitution was in its greatest crisis, we did stand up. We did something. We did something. We saved our Constitution with our leader, Ron Paul.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Great question. Great question.
Great question.
Do we have any more?
I'm double checking the email right now. Okay, let's say if we have an election with Ron Paul as a Republican candidate, how can they plan on or make sure that the cabal won't cheat on the electronic vote?
With Ron Paul as the candidate of the Republican Party, we can do what Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln said, put your trust in the American people. If you put your trust in the American people, all will be fine. That's all you have to do is put your trust in the American people. The American people will elect Ron Paul. Ron Paul would easily defeat Obama. Romney would easily lose. Ron Paul will easily win. And the American people will be there. They'll be at the polls. They'll be counting the votes. We'll be knowing the votes. No one's going to steal an election from Ron Paul, because we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. We're going to be on this election. We've seen what they've done to our election process, turning it into a third world corrupt practice. But we're not going to let them get away with it with Ron Paul. And we're going to win this election with Ron Paul. That's for sure. And we just need to. We'll find the path to get there. We will find the path to get there. It'll be a Republican nominee or a write-in. We'll get there one way or the other. We'll get there.
The one other question is, would you suggest that anybody sign these petitions that are going around asking Ron Paul to please run as either independent or libertarian?
Well, the problem with running as an independent is there are so many laws, and that's my dog. If there's so many laws that in various states and periods of time that have lapsed, have had documents in, that it's really very difficult to impossible to run as a independent right now because of the passage of time. Right. The write-in is the fastest way. It's the fastest way to get the job done. I mean, we can bring cases. We would have to bring a lot of cases to get an independent run handled and possible, given all of the states that have already had their deadlines pass. And the same kinds of problems exist with the third-party run. There's all kinds of deadlines that have passed that make that very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it can't be done. But the best way is to go the write-in way. The write-in way is a case I think we can win, and we don't have to gamble on all these other cases because we may not win that. But we can win the write-in. We can win the write-in case and make 50 states allow a write-in for whoever you want to vote for, which is Paul. And that's just my opinion. I think that's the case that we won. Right. And I think that's the way. I think that's if we don't get the Republican nomination.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm also in one of those states that does not allow supposedly write-ins. But I don't know why, as an American, if you went in and you voted, you couldn't write across the ticket your write-in and and then challenge.
Well, right, and those that say you can't write in, what they're saying is you can't vote for the person you want to vote for on election day. I'm saying that's unconstitutional. Absolutely. That's an unconstitutional law in that state, and I think they're saying we can haul all the states in at one time in one case, in one federal case, and we can win that case because it is flatly unconstitutional, and we can then, even my dog agrees it's unconstitutional, and then we can, I think we can win that case, and then we can have everybody writing in Ron Paul. If we start fighting over all these other independent runs and third-party runs or whatever, and we have to deal state by state with all these laws, I think time is a little short for this cycle to say. I can't say that I'm as hopeful of success as I can say about a write-in, because those laws are just flatly unconstitutional. You can't tell a voter who they can vote for. The state doesn't get to give the choices. The voter can pick anyone they want and vote for them.
Richard, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, and is there any space on the ballot, will there be, for you to write a write-in, or do you put it over the top, or what do you do? And can you even get to the ballot if you're not one of those?
Well, that's why we name all 50 states in one lawsuit, and we go into court and ask for an injunction. And by asking for an injunction means we're asking the court to all 50 states to allow the write-in. Those cases move very fast. That kind of a case moves very fast in the court. So there is time to bring that case. There's time to win that case. And I think when we get our opinion on our first case, I think there's going to be a lot of fruit in there that we can use to win our second case. And our second case will be the write-in case. And I don't think we'll ever have to worry again about the right of people to vote for whoever they want on Election Day. The person doesn't have to be a candidate. They can say, I don't even want to be president of the United States. You still have the right to vote for them. That's why I say we won't need Ron Paul to sign papers saying he's willing to do it. We're drafting him. We're not asking. We're drafting. We're voting for Ron Paul as a write-in, and we're going to get the states to make it possible. And I think the law is clear on our side. I think it's clear on our side that a state can't prevent us from writing in whoever we want to write in.
And Richard, this is Greg. Real quick question for you. On phase 2, if we win the first lawsuit and we go to the second for the write-in, as part of that second case that would be brought forward, would that also include having an election that would be basically by written ballot as opposed to the machines because of all the issues?
No, it would just be a written ballot for a write-in candidate. I can't change all the machines in 50 states. I wouldn't be able to do that between now and November. But getting in order that if you walk into the voting office where you're going to vote, and you say I want to vote a write-in vote, they got to hand you a card, and you can write in Ron Paul, and you can put it in a box, and they got to count that vote. And I think that's a case that we can win.
And
I think that case is a lot easier than our first case.
And that would be a good direction to give to people, too, that when they vote in November to ask for a written ballot.
Oh, yeah, and everybody will want to ask for a written ballot, too. I mean, that'll be sweeping the country. Everybody, by the time in November, is going to know all about these fake voting machines, and they're going to want to ask for a written ballot. And so I think we can do a lot with this write-in vote. I think it'll be a very popular thing that people will want to do, write-in Ron Paul. I think it'll just sweep across the nation. I really do. I believe it. I believe it can happen. If we believe in it, we can make it happen.
I give it to these.
Okay.
Denise?
I'm here. I can barely hear you.
Oh, go ahead. I was just being quiet.
Okay. Like I said, we didn't have any further questions. Drake, Paul, Grammy, did you have anything else? Do you have questions from our listeners, or?
Oh, I'm thinking Grammy probably has a comment.
Man, that it's an honor for him to be here tonight, and I thank him.
That's what I thought.
Well, thank you. It's an honor for me to be.
Yes, we're all honored. Drake, any more? Did you have more?
No, I'm just enjoying real. This is kind of like having cookies after dinner or something. It's really cool.
Yep.
It's I mean, I play the game, get her done and all this, and the silly hillbilly and all that, and it's fun to do. And some of the joking around is neat, but at some time or another, everybody's got to understand that this stuff gets not only real but serious. And we are at the end of the rope. We are running out of time rapidly, so we need to get this done as fast as, or as best as we can in terms of the time we've got allotted, and boogie on down the road with it. And this is why I'm saying, anything we can just stick on the website or something, let me know, and we'll do it.
Yeah, we are behind you 100%.
Oh, yeah.
We have a couple of minutes left, and we did have a question. Would it be possible to ratify the amendment to let a real president elect serve longer term, so long as they're doing a good job?
Well, amending the Constitution is always a big project. You gotta get 2/3 of the states to approve it, and that's not an easy thing to do. It wasn't that long ago that the amendment was put in to limit the president to two 4-year terms, and that was because of FDR running for a third term. Back in the 1940s, you could run for a fourth term. There was no limit number of terms you could run for, and they just decided to pass an amendment limiting president to 2 terms. Not limited in the Senate, you're not limited in the House. I don't really understand why the American people can't choose to elect someone to a third term if that's what the American people want to do. I mean, why do we need to be told that we cannot elect somebody? So I think that takes away from freedom, this nonsense of telling us we cannot vote for somebody. The American people are smart enough to know who they want to vote for, and I just think I think that it's not a question of passing a new amendment. I think it's a question of just getting rid of. And I'm doing this by memory. I think that might be the 22nd Amendment, but I might be wrong about that. But it was a very recent amendment done in the last 60 years, I think we just get rid of that amendment, and people can vote for whoever they want to vote for.
Okay, great question, great answer. We're almost out of time. I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to get in here and to thank you so much for not only being with us tonight, but also giving us an extra hour. And I want to apologize to all of the listeners who started out on the one radio broadcast service, which apparently didn't like what you were saying, and shut us down. But we hit the ground running. We had a contingency plan in place, and that's why this show continued. So I want to thank you, Mr. Gilbert, for being with us, and I want to extend an open invitation for you to come back.
Oh, yes, we would all like I wanted to reiterate that our members and everything have been commenting. He should be a regular guest, and you have our full support.
Yes, just
okay, well, thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be with everyone, and we're all equals. We're all shoulder to shoulder, and let's save our freedoms. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Well,
Richard. We're all with you, my friend.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is the Global Voice Radio Network in voluntary cooperation with Global Voice 2012 Radio. We stuck to our guns, and we decided freedom was worth fighting for, so we kept it going.
Yes, indeed.
This is the Global Voice Radio Network. I am Paul, my co-host Denise.
Yeah, I became the co-host.
Yeah, well, you hosted the first 30 minutes or so, and then
20.
Somebody got upset. But, okay, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a pleasant evening.
The same, only the names will change every day. It seems we're wasting away. Another place where the faces are so cold. I drive all night just to get back home. I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive. I'm wanted, dead or alive. Sometimes I sleep, sometimes it's not for days. The people like me always go their separate ways. Sometimes you tell the day by the bottle that you drink. Sometimes when you're alone, all you do is think. I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or
Blasting the voice of freedom worldwide, you're listening to the Global Voice Radio Network.